Chapter 908. Greetings, Elders. The crowd saluted the 5 elders. An elder nodded in acknowledgement. When the 5 elders arrived, their eyes immediately fell on Su, Yi, and Feng Qi. They looked up at the sky from time to time, as if they were waiting for something. They should be here soon. Sending 2 people every year is enough to protect the peace of our clan. Rustling noises could be heard from the crowd. They were waiting for the people to be sent away early so that the clan could regain a year of peace and safety. Feng Qi also has a tough life. She has been sick since she was young. Who knows when she will kill someone? It's good that she can do something for the clan now. Don't say that. She's a child with a bad life, after all. Some people whispered with indifferent expressions as they watched Feng Qi, being sent away as if everything was natural. Although some people sympathized with her and couldn't bear it, it was still better than sending their own children to their deaths. Feng Qi stood on the boulder and looked at the great elder and the others below. She bowed respectfully, as usual. The great elder, Elder Feng Yu, and the others' eyes flickered as if they didn't dare to look directly into Feng Qi's eyes. The disciplinary hall elder was the gloomy old man who secretly did something. His eyes were cold and indifferent. Demonic aura. Su Yi's eyes scanned the surroundings discreetly. Suddenly, he felt a strong demonic aura coming from afar. Almost at the same time, the great elder, Elder Feng Yu, and the others' eyes changed. Light surged as they looked forward. From afar, in the direction of the rising sun, a shadowy figure soared into the sky. It spread its wings like a fluttering dark cloud and cast a huge shadow on the mountain range below. They're here. Those barbaric demon beasts are here. The crowd in the square was in an uproar. Their expressions changed drastically as fear gushed out from their eyes. Awoo! The beasts roared like thunder and pierced through the clouds. A large number of ferocious birds spread their wings and soared into the sky. Not long after, they appeared in the sky above the square. A large shadow covered their line of sight, causing the mountain range to sink into darkness. Wave after wave of powerful auras descended. Violent gales swept through. The sea of trees rose and fell. Sand and stones flew, and the spirit birds and auspicious beasts crawled and trembled, causing one's heart and soul to tremble for no reason. Su Yi looked up and saw a group of barbaric demonic beasts. There were no less than 100 of them. They spread their wings and covered half the sky. Auras of various attributes filled the air. Ferocious auras spread out and were extremely terrifying. In the lead was an enormous flying beast with a wingspan of almost 60 m. Its head was like an eagle or a lion, and its sharp beak was like a hook. It was suffused with a cold light, and its entire body was covered in golden feathers that were like iron armor. The feathers opened and closed like the edge of a blade, and suffused with a golden light, and its sharp claws were deep. Its ferocious eyes were like blood moons, fierce and ferocious, and the aura on its body was extremely formidable to the point it caused one's heart to go cold. Being glanced at by it felt as if one's soul would tremble and one's entire body would go limp. A golden steel lion vulture at the demon void stage. Su Yi's eyes trembled. This was actually a rarely seen golden gang griffin. Golden gang griffins were barbaric, demonic beasts of the demon clan. The level of their bloodline was extremely high, and they were known for their ferociousness, fierceness, and speed. According to rumor, the bodies of the experts of the Golden Gang Griffin clan were covered in golden armor and were capable of directly going against Tao artifacts and magic artifacts. It could be said to be terrifying. As he felt the aura that suffused the Golden Gang Griffin at this moment, Su Yi estimated that this Golden Gang Griffin had probably at least attained the aura of the 7th or 8th level of the origin stage. Even if a Golden Gang Griffin like this wasn't a match for a cultivator below the Origin Monarch stage, it would still be able to escape, right? It was extremely formidable. At this moment, there was a silver leopard that was almost 30 m long and over 10 m tall by the side of the Golden Gang Griffin. Its entire body flowed with a silver sheen that seemed like talisman markings were glowing. Its ferocious eyes were terrifying, and its four hooves seemed as if clouds and mist were rising. There was also a crimson, ferocious monkey that was completely covered in crimson light and had a blazing aura, yet its ferocious eyes were pitch black like a black hole. This crimson, ferocious monkey was the smallest in size and was only less than 3 m tall. But the aura that suffused its body at this moment was instead not inferior to the silver leopard. Silver cloud leopard, crimson wind black-eyed, demonic monkey. He hadn't seen these two beasts, but he recognized them. The silver cloud leopard and crimson wind black-eyed demonic monkey were two types of ferocious beasts of the demon clan. At this moment, the aura on the silver cloud leopard and crimson wind black-eyed demonic monkey wasn't much weaker than the golden gang griffin. Awu. When such a group of ferocious beasts descended, their auras were ferocious and they roared without end. Around the square, numerous gazes surged with terror as they trembled with fear and retreated one after another. Only the 5 elders and the group of experts stood, and the aura on their bodies surged secretly. Oof. The crimson wind, black-eyed demonic monkey and the silver cloud leopard looked down at the crowd below and snorted coldly, as if they were looking at a group of ants. The golden gang griffin's gaze swept across the great elder, Elder Feng Yu, and several others. Then its gaze fell on Su Yi and Feng Qi, who were on the giant rock. Finally, its pair of blood moon-like ferocious eyes fixed on Su Yi, and a sharp voice came out from its mouth. This kid seems to be a little unqualified this year. The Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor wants a fair and plump kid, but this kid isn't fair enough. My lord, this kid is the best among our clan. Although he's not fair enough, he's extremely talented and good-looking. I'm sure the Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor will like him. The Punishment Hall Elder immediately said to the Golden Gang Griffin. His gloomy eyes were filled with a trace of coldness, but what was revealed on the outside was humility and respect. If the Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor doesn't like him, then you'll have to face the consequences. The Golden Gang Griffin snorted coldly. Its huge body flapped its wings, and its sharp claws suddenly stretched out. A bloody and fierce aura assailed the nostrils. A pair of sharp claws immediately fell on Su Yi and Feng Qi's shoulders, and an invisible force wrapped around them, capturing them in its sharp claws. The Golden Gang Griffin seemed to be afraid of hurting Su Yi and Feng Qi. It was very careful, and then it spread its wings and flew away. Oh, a group of brute demon beasts roared, spread their wings, and whistled. A gust of wind swept up, and then they spread across the void and left in the direction of the rising sun. Seeing that the group of brute demon beasts had gradually disappeared into the distance, the people around the square gradually came back to their senses. There was still lingering fear in their eyes. The ferocity and strength of those brute demon beasts had made them feel uneasy. I hope that kid can pass. Otherwise, I'm afraid we'll be in big trouble. He should be able to pass. If I had known earlier, I would have thought of a way to make that kid fairer. Some people were worried that the Golden Gang Griffin would think that the kid was not fair enough. They were afraid that the Demon Emperor would not like him and would be furious. The Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor likes both men and women. When the time comes, I'm afraid that kid will suffer. Chapter 909. Feng Pu likes Feng Qi, but Feng Pu's parents have said that if Feng Pu dares to get close to Feng Qi and bring misfortune home, they will sever all ties with Feng Pu. Feng Qi doesn't seem to like Feng Pu either. She knows her place. Perhaps she knows that she will harm others. The discussions were filled with indifference and ruthlessness. Qi, I'm sorry. Fourth Aunt looked in the direction where the group of barbaric beasts had disappeared. Tears flowed from her eyes as she felt guilty. Let's disperse. Young people should seize the time to cultivate. The great elder spoke and gestured for the clan members to disperse. There was a hint of helplessness in his eyes. Huff, huff, Su Yi and Feng Qi were caught in the claws of the Golden Gang Griffin. While they were in midair, the Golden Gang Griffin's speed was extremely fast. The air around them whistled. Feng Qi's eyes were filled with shock at first, but soon her expression returned to normal. Her eyes were as clear as a puddle of water. There was no longer any shock in Feng Qie's eyes. It was as if she had already prepared herself. Regardless of whether she was still afraid or fearful, she had to face it. There was no escape. Now that they had left the clan, Su Yi felt a little more relaxed. After all, the Origin Supreme technique had a lot of advantages when dealing with these barbaric beasts. However, Su Yi wasn't really afraid of the Demon True Realm Brute Demon Beasts in the midst of this huge group of brute demon beasts. However, the Golden Gang Griffin, the Silver Cloud Leopard, and the Red Wind Black-Eyed Demon Monkey were 3 Demon Void Realm barbaric beasts. Su Yi could not help but be wary of them. If it was a demonic illusionary stage, barbaric demonic beast expert, Su Yi could still take the gamble. However, these 3 Demon Void Realm barbaric beasts had no chance of winning. Moreover, Feng Qie was around. If possible, Su Yi wanted to let Feng Qie escape. After all, she was a foolish woman. If they had not met, it would have nothing to do with him. However, he had already encountered it. If he didn't do anything, Su Yi felt that he wouldn't be able to get past himself. Su Yi pondered in his mind. He was thinking of a plan. If he suddenly attacked now, this Golden Gang Griffin didn't seem to have sensed that he had undone the seal. At least, he would have a chance to escape. However, it would be very dangerous to leave safely. The biggest problem was that he couldn't bring Feng Qie along. However, if he didn't make a move now, Su Yi reckoned that it would be even more dangerous once he reached the lair of the Demon Emperor. It would definitely be harder to escape than when he was in that clan. The only way is to escape first, as long as there's a chance to open the mysterious space. Su Yi thought to himself. As long as he had a chance to escape and find a way to open the mysterious space, the Green Emperor must have recovered a lot by now. With the Green Emperor's strength, even if he had only recovered a small portion of his strength, he should be able to deal with these demon, illusionary stage, savage beasts. Who's blocking my way? Do you want to die? Suddenly, just as Su Yi was pondering, the Golden Gang Griffin's body suddenly stopped. A sharp, ear-piercing roar resounded through the void. Oh! The group of beasts roared. Their aura fluctuated and soared into the sky. When they gathered together, it was a terrifying scene. Su Yi was surprised. Only then did he look forward. At this moment, in front of the Golden Gang Griffin, the Silver Cloud Leopard, and the Red Wind Black-Eyed Demonic Monkey stood a black-robed old man and a yellow-robed old man. Beside the two of them, there was a huge wolf-head demonic bat and a Xianyang golden demonic falcon circling around them. They were emitting a bloody and fierce aura. Looking at the 2 people and 2 beasts that appeared in front of him, Su Yi's originally tense expression suddenly relaxed. Ecstasy surged from the bottom of his heart. However, his body remained calm and didn't show any signs of it. At this moment, who else could it be if not Suicidal Yama, Merciless West, and Huang Jian? When the 3 of them appeared in front of him, Su Yi knew that he was safe. Merciless West and the Green Emperor had finally arrived. Evil beasts, I think you're courting death. Huang Jian glared at the Golden Gang Griffin and the group of beasts in front of him. If he was alone, he would naturally be afraid. However, he knew who the people beside him were. These beasts were courting death. Humans, you must be tired of living. The Red Wind Black-Eyed Demonic Monkey growled. Its eyes were as black as ink and emitted a dark light. Its body emitted a scorching aura, causing the surrounding temperature to rise. Merciless West didn't say anything. He looked at Su Yi, who was in the Golden Gang Griffin's claws, and raised his eyebrows slightly. The appearance of the 2 people and 2 beasts caused the Golden Gang Griffin and the rest to stop. Feng Qie's eyes were filled with surprise. She then looked at Su Yi with a smile on her face and signaled to Su Yi not to be afraid. Su Yi looked at Feng Qie with a smile in his eyes and winked slightly. Seeing Su Yi's reaction, Feng Qie's eyes were filled with doubt. This seemed to be the first time the young man in front of her had responded to her. Although his response didn't seem strange, it gave her a subtle feeling that something was wrong. At the same time, Su Yi raised his eyebrows slightly and a cold smile suddenly appeared on his face. Boom! At this moment, a vast and domineering aura of destruction gushed out from Su Yi's body like a volcanic eruption. The Golden Gang Griffin immediately felt the aura gushing out from the claw print. Suddenly, its blood moon-like pupils shrank, and its expression changed drastically. The aura was only at the Yuan Jin stage, but the pressure made its beast's soul tremble for no reason. The blood in its body froze, and it felt fear and awe from the depths of its bloodline. It wanted to crawl. Boom! Su Yi's aura surged, and the Origin Supreme technique was activated. He moved his arm and punched directly at the sharp claw. Within the fist, a terrifying Yuan Qi power erupted like a volcano and instantly exploded in front of the fist. Rumble! In the next instant, when Su Yi's fist landed on the claw, his fist that was glowing brightly seemed to expand. Wind and thunder clashed like thunder, rumbling and rumbling, bringing with it a huge pressure that was like the awakening of an overlord and the descent of an emperor resounded. Bang! An unusually wild and violent energy immediately charged out from Su Yi's fist and violently collided with the sharp claws of the Golden Gang Griffin. It was accompanied by a destructive aura that swept out, causing the surrounding space to have a feeling of rapid fluctuations. Rumble! A huge gust of wind formed a shockwave that shot out like a storm in the void. The wind swept out like a storm. Eolo, under such an aura, the beast souls of the surrounding beasts all trembled and wanted to crawl. Chapter 9-10. Roar! The Golden Gang Griffin roared as its entire body glowed with golden light. Under the immense force, especially the domineering and destructive pressure, it trembled all over. It could not help but open its sharp claws as its eyes were filled with shock and fear. Su Yi and Feng Qi fell from the sky. At this moment, Su Yi was already prepared. A red light rose from his back, condensing into a pair of Yuan Qi wings. He swooped down and immediately pulled Feng Qi into his arms. Feng Qi was still in a daze. She was so shocked that she could not recover. Humph! At the same time, a black figure broke through the air and appeared. A vast aura spread out and solidified the void. A palm landed directly on the back of the Golden Gang Griffin, which had yet to recover from the shock. Roar! Puff! The Golden Gang Griffin roared as blood spurted from its mouth. Its eyes were filled with fear as its body was sent flying. Roar! The Scarlet Wind Black-Eyed Demon Monkey and the Silver Cloud Leopard were shaken and recovered from the shock. They roared angrily as a blazing aura and a storm-like aura swept out from their bodies. Evil creature! At this moment, Huang Jian's figure swept over without holding back his aura. The Yuan Qi in front of him surged and shook the void. A shadow of a strange beast condensed and was already in front of the Scarlet Wind Black-Eyed Demon Monkey. Humph! Merciless West snorted coldly and swept his hand backward. His black robe's long sleeve shook, and a stream of Yuan Qi, as bright as lightning, struck the Silver Cloud Leopard. Puffed! There was no turning back. The Silver Cloud Leopard's huge body was directly slapped down from the void and fell. Its ferocious mouth kept spitting out blood, and its ferocious eyes were filled with horror. Bang, bang, bang. Huang Jian and the Scarlet Wind Black-Eyed Demon Monkey also collided with each other. Under the muffled sound of Yuan Qi, Huang Jian's figure was forced back a few steps while the Scarlet Wind Black-Eyed Demon Monkey was sent flying. Some dark red blood flowed out from its ferocious mouth. Oh, Guji! A group of ferocious birds roared and screeched. They regained their senses after sensing the terrifying aura from Su Yi's body. Their voices soared to the heavens, and waves of ferocious aura gathered together. It was also very shocking, sweeping through the clouds. Su Yi was in midair with the Yuan Qi wings on his back. He looked at the group of ferocious beasts. His eyes darkened and a red light surging. An overlord's aura that could destroy everything. It was as if a supreme emperor had arrived and caused the surrounding space around him. A loud roar, who dares? His roar was like the clanging of wind and thunder, shaking the void. Oh, Guji, the Scarlet Demon Monkeys the wind black-eyed demon beast, as in the gang's blood black-eyed there's gang, was blood. Gang the gang beast. Be with him. With of his. With. The scarlet wind black-eyed demon monkey stood in midair. It had just been injured by Huang Jian. When it sensed Su Yi's aura, its eyes were filled with fear. The domineering and destructive aura made it feel as if it was the aura of a supreme demon. This kind of aura had nothing to do with one's strength. It was much stronger than when it faced the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead. The silver cloud leopard and the golden gang lion vulture were also trembling. The fear in their hearts was even greater than that of the scarlet wind black-eyed demon monkey. The group of ferocious beasts were all shocked and prostrated. Oh, Guji, the blood-evil aura was monstrous. The wolf-head demonic bat and the Xianyang golden demon falcon flapped their wings and appeared beside Su Yi. They looked around angrily. At this moment, even the aura of the Xianyang golden demon falcon and the wolf-head demonic bat was enough to make the other beasts fearful. Su Yi floated in midair. His eyes were like red lightning. His black hair danced in the wind. The domineering and destructive aura permeated the surrounding void. Feng Qi'er was shocked. Her clear eyes stared blankly at the young man in front of her, as if they were about to pop out of their sockets. She could feel the powerful aura of the young man who was holding her waist in his arms at such a close distance. Leaning against him like a harbor, Feng Qi'er looked at the group of ferocious beasts that were roaring and prostrating. At this moment, she felt incomparably at ease. It was as if there was a huge mountain beside her. She felt an unprecedented sense of security. Su Yi flapped his wings and looked around. Then his eyes couldn't help but twitch slightly. In the distant mountains, he inadvertently saw a familiar figure who was running over rapidly, as if he was crossing over mountains. Then, Su Yi leaped into the air and landed on the back of the wolf-head demonic bat. The primordial chi wings on his back were retracted. Huang Jian greets the sect master. Please forgive me for putting the sect master in danger. Huang Jian stepped forward and bowed. He was worried that Su Yi would blame him. The sect master would be in big trouble. No problem. You came just in time. Su Yi didn't mind and smiled. He couldn't blame Huang Jian for this. It's a primordial emperor expert. Run. As Su Yi retracted his aura, the golden gang griffin roared. Golden light filled the air as it spread its wings and fled. At this moment, there was a primordial emperor expert in the supreme aura of the demon clan. The young man didn't dare to stay. Awoo! The group of ferocious beasts that were in a daze were frightened and fled quickly. The scarlet wind black-eyed demonic monkey and silver cloud leopard didn't fall behind. They turned around and fled. They felt that something was wrong. The primordial emperor expert was enough to wipe them out. Still want to run? A cold voice rang in the ears of the golden aura griffin. Shi Wuqing's figure quietly appeared. His body glowed with light, and his aura shook the entire valley. He formed a seal with his hands, and a mighty source spirit's power fluctuated between his eyebrows. An ancient aura filled the air in front of him, and a flood dragon phantom broke through the air. Awoo! The dragon roared. Its aura seemed to have crossed the ancient time and space. It shook the space and filled the air with monstrous power. It was as if a real dragon had descended and could destroy everything. It coiled around the Golden Gang Griffin. Soul Controller. The Golden Gang Griffin's expression changed drastically. This Yuan Emperor was actually a soul controller. The shock in its eyes became even more intense. Golden light burst out from its body, as if there was a phantom of the Golden Gang Griffin expanding. Energy spread out, trying to break free from the giant dragon's restraint. However, the dragon shadow condensed by Merciless West was filled with ancient pressure and killing intent. The terrifying aura caused the void to rumble as it coiled around the Golden Gang Griffin tightly. Feng Qi'er, who was standing on the back of the wolf-headed demonic bat, looked at the scene in front of her. Her beautiful eyes kept darting around. It wasn't difficult for her to feel that the black-robed old man's strength was much more powerful and terrifying than the great elder of the clan. Rumble, the dragon coiled around the Golden Gang griffin and collided with each other. The surrounding boulders rolled down, and the ground shook as cracks appeared. Merciless West's figure appeared again and landed on the dragon's shadow. She formed a hand seal and slammed it down, shattering the Golden Gang griffin's shadow. Puffed. The Golden Gang griffin spat out blood, and its aura suddenly weakened. Chapter 9:11. Bang, 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 bang. Following which, a series of dull sounds exploded from the Golden Gang griffin's body. Blood mist filled the air, causing cracks to appear on its golden armor like feathers. Instantly, the ferocious Golden Gang griffin fell to the ground. Its aura was weak, and it could no longer move. Merciless West's black robe fluttered and her hair danced. She forcefully stepped on the Golden Gang griffin's forehead and suppressed it. Her voice rang out, "Protect me." As her voice fell, Merciless West's hands formed a series of hand seals. There was a fluctuation of light between her eyebrows, and it drilled into the Golden Gang griffin's forehead. "Human, what are you trying to do? This is impossible." The Golden Gang griffin roared, as if it had suffered the most unbearable humiliation. It would rather die than submit. Merciless West did not stop. She forcefully suppressed the Golden Gang griffin and made it unable to move. She formed a series of hand seals, and a light flashed between her eyebrows and connected with the Golden Gang griffin's forehead. Big Brother seems to be trying to subdue this Golden Gang griffin. Sui saw through the clues. It seemed that desperate Yama had taken a fancy to this Golden Gang griffin and wanted to subdue it. Sui immediately became alert and guarded his big brother. Swoosh! At this moment, as the Golden Gang griffin was suppressed, the Silver Cloud Leopard and Black-Eyed Scarlet Wind Monkey Demon had already fled before Huang Jian could do anything. The group of ferocious birds scattered. Huang Jian had no intention of taking action. He stood by Su Yi's side, fearing that there would be another accident. Feng Qi was still in a daze. Everything that had happened before her eyes made it difficult for her to regain her composure. Soon, the struggling Golden Gang griffin calmed down. Merciless West flipped her hand seals, and a bone-devouring soul pill appeared in her hand. She crushed it in her palm, and it turned into powder. Along with the fluctuation of the soul between Merciless West's eyebrows, it was directly injected into the Golden Gang griffin's forehead. No! When the powder and soul energy entered it, the Golden Lion Vulture struggled violently again, and its eyes were filled with fear. After that, as if it had suffered a heavy blow, the aura on its body withered completely, and it fell limply on the ground while blood flowed from its body. Merciless West withdrew her handprint, and some sweat dripped from her forehead. However, there was a smile on her face as she jumped off the back of the Golden Gang griffin. Roar! The Golden Gang griffin seemed to have lost all its strength. Its ferocious head was lying on the ground. Its half-open eyes were glaring fiercely at Merciless West. It seemed as if it couldn't wait to tear Merciless West apart. "Evil creature, I'll give you one last chance. Submit to me and become my mount. In the future, I'll definitely give you unimaginable benefits and help you reach an unimaginable level. If you don't submit, not to mention the fact that I've arranged something in your beast soul, I'll only need a thought to make you wish you were dead. When your beast soul shatters, you'll die with me." Merciless West stared straight at the Golden Gang griffin. Her eyes were filled with coldness and murderous intent. She paused for a moment, then continued. "As long as you say no, I'll barbecue you right now and eat you. I'll use your beast core to refine some pills. Nothing could be better than that." Looking at Merciless West, the Golden Gang griffin's eyes rolled. The murderous intent and coldness in the human's eyes made it shiver uncontrollably. It could feel that the old man in front of it wasn't joking. It wasn't willing to submit to a human, and it was even more unwilling to become his mount. However, if it said no, the old man would definitely barbecue it without hesitation. The beast core in its body was the treasure of all humans. "Master." After a moment, the Golden Gang griffin restrained its murderous intent. After a moment of hesitation, it didn't want to die and chose to submit. Hearing this, The murderous intent and coldness in Merciless West's eyes turned into a faint smile. Congratulations, big brother. The wolf-headed demonic bat circled around and landed. Su-yi jumped down to Merciless West's side. Seeing that Merciless West had subdued a mount like the Golden Gang Griffin, he felt happy for Merciless West. This Golden Gang Griffin isn't bad. It should be able to advance to the next level. Merciless West smiled with satisfaction. She knew that Su-yi's mysterious space and the benefits of the spiritual liquid would bring to the Golden Gang Griffin. When the time came, the Golden Gang Griffin would be able to advance to the next level. Su-yi nodded. He knew what Merciless West meant. This Golden Gang Griffin wasn't ordinary. When the time came, it would be able to advance to the next level after cleansing its marrow in the mysterious space and consuming the spiritual liquid. What's going on? Who's this little girl? Merciless West asked. She looked at Feng Qi, curiously. After that, Su-yi found out that Merciless West had indeed just made a breakthrough. The wolf-headed demonic bat had been guarding him and didn't know where he went. Huang Jian and the Xianyang Golden Demonic Falcon had already come out to look for him, but they couldn't find him. Finally, when Merciless West made a breakthrough, the two men and two beasts gathered and were about to look for him. They were alarmed by the commotion here and didn't expect to really meet him. Su-yi smiled bitterly and roughly explained everything that had happened. Of course, he didn't mention anything about being forced to take a bath. There's actually such a thing. Huang Jian was very surprised. Who the hell are you? Feng Qi finally came back to her senses. After listening to Su-yi, Merciless West, and Huang Jian, she roughly understood the situation. The wolf-headed demonic bat, the Xianyang Golden Demonic Falcon, and the two experts seemed to be together with this young man. They came here to save him. Didn't you always want to know my name? I'm Su-yi. Su-yi smiled and said to Feng Qi. Su-yi. Feng Qi's eyes flickered. Feng Qi's eyes flickered. Since this guy could suddenly attack the Golden Gang Griffin, the seal in his body must have been broken long ago. She stared at Su-yi and asked, "Did you break the seal long ago?" "Yes." Su-yi nodded. "Ah." Hearing this, Feng Qi suddenly exclaimed. She covered her face with both hands and immediately ran away. She had actually thought that this young man had been sealed and was about to die. That was why she had said so much. She had told him everything that was in her heart. Most importantly, she had even bathed him. She was so embarrassed that her face flushed red. She wished she could find a hole to crawl into. Secmaster, what's wrong with her? Looking at Feng Qi, who was covering her face and running away, Huang Jian was very puzzled. It's nothing. Su-yi shook his head. He couldn't tell Huang Jian that Feng Qi had given him a bath. Is it really nothing? After all, Huang Jian was a veteran. He looked around and felt that something was wrong. There must be something wrong. What should we do with this girl? Merciless West went forward and asked Su. This. Chapter 9:12. This girl is really innocent and kind. Silly girl. Huang Jian could be considered a cold-blooded killer. This was the rule of survival in the Chaos region. However, after listening to Feng Qi's experience and her kindness, he couldn't help but sigh with emotion. Perhaps it was because he had been in the Chaos region for a long time that he became more emotional. What a pitiful little girl. Merciless West said softly. She was also moved, and her gaze once again fell on Feng Qi, who had run to the side. Feng Qi, who had run to the side, blushed, but then she seemed to have thought of something. Without caring about anything else, she ran to Su-yi's side again and said anxiously, "We didn't go to the Demon King. What about my people? I'm afraid that the Demon King will vent his anger on my people and kill them all." This, Su-yi raised his eyebrows slightly and said, "What does your people have to do with me? Not to mention the Demon King. Your people wanted to use me as a scapegoat. Now, it's my turn to settle the score with them." Huang Jian's eyes darkened when he heard that. A cold aura surged in his body as he said, "Those bastards dared to touch the sect leader and almost put him in danger. They're not good people. Let's kill them all." "No, please let my people go. I beg you." Feng Qi-er's expression changed drastically. She looked at Su-yi pleadingly. She now knew that Su-yi and these experts were definitely not people that her people could deal with. The people in your clan wanted to kill me, but they never thought of letting me go, right? Over the years, I'm sure that the people in your clan have used this method to make many innocent people die in their place. Have you ever thought about whether those innocent people are fair? A cold light flashed in Su-yi's eyes. He did not have a good impression of that clan to begin with. Furthermore, that clan had actually wanted him to die in their place, and had even taken his broken sword. Naturally, he would not let this matter rest. Little girl, why are you so silly? Your people have already abandoned you, and want to send you to your death. Why are you still protecting them? Huang Jian defended her. After listening to Su-yi and Huang Jian's words, Feng Qi was speechless. After a moment of silence, she continued to look at Su-yi with pleading eyes. But they're my people after all. I can't watch them die. We didn't go to the Demon King and even injure those experts. The Demon King will definitely not let this go. What will happen to fourth aunt? Uncle Feng Gu, Feng Feng, Feng Ling, and Feng Pu. Feng Qi thought of her people. She couldn't let him go to the Demon King Tu's death. She could only blame herself for being powerless. This little girl, how could she be so silly? Huang Jian sighed. It was rare to see such a silly girl. Su-yi was helpless as well. He didn't know if he should call this woman silly or naive. Feng Qi-er's emotions seemed to be getting more and more agitated. She was powerless to do anything about it. Her delicate body trembled, and a faint black color gushed out from the depths of her clear eyes. Yuan Qi slowly rippled and spread throughout her body. Su-yi, Shi Wuqing, and Huang Jian all sensed this aura at the first moment, and they were all secretly surprised. Su-yi, in particular, had already felt this aura from Feng Qi-er's body. This aura was not particularly strong for Su-yi, but it made him feel extremely uncomfortable. Even the supreme origin technique in Su-yi's body could not withstand this discomfort. Even the heavenly origin demon soul in his mind was somewhat affected. What a strange aura! The strange aura emanated from Feng Qi-er's body and spread out in the air. It was like wisps of black smoke lingering in the surroundings. Huang Jian's expression grew more and more surprised. Desperation Yama, Shi Wuqing did not say anything, but his gaze had changed drastically. His deep-set eyes shone brightly, as if he had seen the most incredible thing. His figure immediately strode to Feng Qi-er's side, and a series of hand seals were formed before landing directly on Feng Qi-er's body. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. When the hand seals landed, the aura on Feng Qi-er's body grew denser and denser. A black mist-like aura swept out from her body, especially from her eyes. Wherever it passed, it gave off a feeling that it could corrode and destroy everything. Looking at Merciless West's actions and sensing the aura that permeated from Feng Qi-er's body, Huang Jian and Su-yi were very surprised. The wolf-headed demonic bat and the Xianyang golden demonic falcon also had a look of dread in their eyes. Suddenly, Feng Qi let out a delicate cry. Black mist billowed from her eyes, and a terrifying aura erupted from her body. The impact caused the surrounding sand and stones to fly and the vegetation to wither. It corroded and destroyed all life. She then went limp and fainted, lying in Merciless West's hands. Merciless West's eyes trembled as he gently leaned Feng Qi against a huge rock. The huge rock had also been dyed a faint black by Feng Qi-er's aura. Big brother, what's going on? Su-yi asked curiously and immediately went to Merciless West's side with Huang Jian. Be careful, this aura is poisonous. It can directly corrode the soul. Merciless West turned around and reminded Su-yi and Huang Jian. Hearing this, Su-yi and Huang Jian immediately retreated. Their eyes were even more surprised. Su-yi raised his eyebrows. He had already sensed that something was wrong with the aura. It seemed to be able to corrode the soul. However, although the heavenly origin demonic soul in his body was affected, it seemed to be able to resist the aura. However, After hearing his big brother Merciless West's reminder, he still felt that it was better to stay away. I didn't expect this. I really didn't expect this. Merciless West was very excited. His eyes were shining as he went to Su Yi and Huang Jian. Big brother, what's going on? Su Yi was getting more and more curious. She has the poisonous soul of Calamity Chi. This little girl is a rare talent in my sect. Merciless West was a little excited. She had the poisonous soul of Calamity Chi, so she was the most suitable person to practice his sect's cultivation method. Big brother, aren't you a rogue cultivator without any sect? Su Yi curled his lips and asked, even if I don't belong to any sect, I should still have some cultivation method and a sect. Merciless West stared at Su. Su Yi raised his eyebrows. That seemed to be the case. He did not belong to any sect and was a lone cultivator. However, if he really counted, the Divine Sword sect could be considered his sect, and so could the Sky Demon sect. There is also the mysterious elite cultivator at the bottom of the cliff in the Barbarian Demon Forest. Then what's with the poisonous soul of Calamity Chi? Su Yi continued to ask. Chapter 9:13. Is that so? Su Yi was also very surprised. He knew that his big brother, Merciless West, had a reputation related to poison, which was why the outside world was so wary of him. Ordinary people did not dare to provoke him. He did not expect that Feng Chi-er's illness, which was thought to be an omen in the clan, turned out to be a natural talent. Calamity Chi Poison Soul, I have inadvertently read about it in ancient books. It is said that those who possess the Calamity Chi Poison Soul have an incurable disease that no medicine can cure. Huang Jian hesitated for a moment before speaking. He had also read about the Calamity Chi Poison Soul in ancient books. That's right. Possessing the Calamity Chi Poison Soul is an incurable disease that no medicine can cure. Merciless West nodded and said, but things in this world are so wonderful. My sect's cultivation method exists for those who possess the Calamity Chi Poison Soul. As long as one cultivates my sect's cultivation method, one will be able to achieve twice the result with half the effort. There's also a 60% chance that the Calamity Chi Poison Soul will be completely cured. Only 60% chance after cultivating the cultivation method? So he suddenly clicked his tongue. Listening to his big brother, Merciless West, it seemed that Feng Chi-er's situation was really not good. A 60% chance is already very high. If she doesn't practice my sect's cultivation method, I'm afraid this little girl won't last more than a year. She will die from the backlash of the Chi of Calamity. Shi Wuqing glared at Su Yi again. Is that so? Su Yi did not know much about the Calamity Chi Poison Soul, but it was not difficult to tell from his big brother, Merciless West's expression, that if the Calamity Chi Poison Soul were to cultivate his sect's cultivation method, it would be twice the result with half the effort. He asked, Big brother, do you want to take Feng Chi as your disciple? Even if I want to, I'm afraid that this silly girl will not be able to become my disciple. With this silly girl's temperament, even if she becomes my disciple, she will not be able to devote herself to cultivation. Merciless West sighed. With Feng Chi-er's temperament, she was always worried about the people in her clan. How could she become his disciple? Even if she did become his disciple, she would not be able to focus on cultivation. Su Yi secretly frowned. He understood what his big brother, Merciless West, meant. With Feng Chi-er's stupidity, she was still thinking about those selfish and heartless people. Even if his big brother forcibly took her in, she would not be able to cultivate wholeheartedly. Sect leader, sir, if you really want this little girl to give up, I have an idea that might work. Huang Jian hesitated for a moment and said to Su Yi and Merciless West, Tell me about it. Merciless West seemed to be more curious than Su Yi. As the saying goes, only by giving up can one let go. Huang Jian chuckled and whispered to Su Yi and Merciless West. A moment later, Feng Chi slowly woke up. Her eyelashes trembled as she opened her eyes. She looked at Su Yi, Merciless West, Huang Jian, and the others in front of her. She immediately propped herself up and said, Did my illness act up again? Not bad. Fortunately, all of you are fine. Su-yi nodded. It's good that all of you are fine. The elder said that when I act up, I will hurt the people around me. Seeing that Su-yi, Merciless West, and the others were fine, Feng-chi heaved a sigh of relief. She then looked to the east and said to Su, let's part ways here. Where are you going? Su-yi asked. My people owe you. Naturally, you can't send yourself to your death. However, I am different. I'm a person who is about to die. I want to go to the Demon King. I hope that the Demon King will be merciful and not harm my people. As soon as she finished speaking, Feng-chi moved away gracefully. She had already made up her mind to find the Demon King alone. Sigh. Hearing this, Su-yi sighed. Huang Jian was also helpless. Little girl, if you go to the Demon King won't let you or your clansmen go. Moreover, your clansmen dared to touch my sect master. Do you think that we will let your clansmen go? For daring to touch my sect master, we will massacre your clansmen and raze their land to the ground. Huang Jian's face darkened as he coldly said. Feng-chi looked at Huang Jian, then at Su-yi. She shook her head and said, I know you are not that kind of person. I believe you won't. You guessed wrong. None of your people are good. It won't be a pity to kill all of them. Su-yi coldly said. None of Feng-chi's so-called people were good. Feng-chi's eyes trembled when she felt the coldness in Su-yi's eyes. She could feel that it was true coldness. This young man was definitely not what he looked like on the surface. If he really wanted to fight, he would definitely be swift and ruthless. Golden Vulture, what is the cultivation level of your Demon King? How many experts of the Demon Clan are there in the nest? Merciless West asked the Golden Gang Griffin, who was still lying on the ground, panting and bleeding. Master, there are a total of 8 Demon Illusionary Realm experts, including me. The Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor's cultivation level has already reached the 3rd level of the Demon Emperor realm. The Golden Gang Griffin replied. 3rd level of the Demon Emperor realm. Merciless West smiled faintly. She already knew what was going on. She then looked at Feng-chi, whose eyes were filled with uncertainty, and said, Little girl, shall we make a deal? Senior, please speak. Feng-chi was very surprised. She knew that the person in front of her was a terrifying Origin Emperor realm expert. He was much stronger than the elders in the clan. Being stared at by him, the Yuan Qi in her body felt blocked for no reason. She was inexplicably nervous and did not dare to look straight at him. We can spare your people and even help you deal with the Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor. However, in exchange, you have to follow us as a servant from now on. How about that? Merciless West looked at Feng-chi, and said, Thank you, Senior. Hearing this, Feng-chi's eyes were filled with joy, but she was also a little worried. She said, But I'm afraid that Feng-chi won't live for long. The elders of my clan said that I don't have long to live. If Senior can save my people, Feng-chi is willing to do anything to repay Senior. It doesn't matter. You can live as long as you want. Merciless West nodded nonchalantly. Feng-chi, thanks Senior for your kindness. I'm willing to do anything to repay Senior. Feng-chi was overjoyed. She immediately knelt down and kowtowed. She was extremely excited. Since such a powerful expert had agreed to help her, her people would naturally be saved. Looking at Feng-chi kowtowing, Merciless West did not stop her. There was a slight smile on her face. After Feng-chi kowtowed 9 times, she pulled her up and said, All right, get up. Su-yi smiled. He understood what his elder brother meant. XW0 hashtag. Peace was restored in the secluded place. It was located in the middle of the millions of mountains and was not much different from an isolated place. Looking at the time, that brat and Feng-chi should have reached the Demon Emperor. Chapter 9:14. That Demon Emperor likes white and chubby people every time. That kid is not white. It will be bad if the Demon Emperor is not satisfied. I hope the Demon Emperor is satisfied. Some people were worried that the Demon Emperor would not be satisfied with that kid. It's about time. The Demon Emperor should be satisfied. Roar. Coo. The roar of beasts could be heard from the distance. Soon, bloody and golden light filled the air. Two huge ferocious birds spread their wings and circled around. Is the Demon Emperor here again? Someone from the Bai clan leaped out and looked up at the sky nervously. Whoosh! Some experts appeared with solemn expressions. All eyes fell on the two ferocious birds that suddenly appeared. This place was very secluded. Their clan had been living here for a long time. It could be considered a paradise in the Chaos region. Due to the special geographical location and environment, even flying savage beasts would not be able to find them if they did not know the specific location. Occasionally, savage beasts would accidentally intrude, but this area was the territory of the Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor. There were also experts in the clan, so it was not a problem. Therefore, when they saw the ferocious birds, the first thought that came to their mind was that the Demon Emperor had sent savage beasts here. That's the wolf-headed bat and the Xianyang golden demon falcon. Someone recognized the two ferocious birds. The wolf-headed bat and the Xianyang golden demon falcon were not commonly seen. These two ferocious birds obviously did not intrude by accident. There are people on top. Isn't that? It's Feng Qi'er and that kid. Why did that kid and Feng Qi'er come back? Could it be that the Demon Emperor is not satisfied with them? It shouldn't be. If the Demon Emperor is not satisfied with that kid and Feng Qi'er, I'm afraid they won't be able to come back alive. Who are the other two? That kid and Feng Qi. This is impossible. Shouldn't they be with the Demon Emperor? More and more people gathered. Seeing Su, Yi, and Feng Qi on the back of the wolf-headed demonic bat, the crowd became restless. They were very surprised. Calculating the time, Feng Qi'er and that brat should be at the Demon Emperor's place. Whoosh! 5 figures soared into the sky, and 5 powerful auras filled the air. 5 elders of the Origin Void stage appeared in the square. Their gazes immediately fell on Su Yi, Feng Qi'er, and the others, and their expressions changed. Feng Qi'er, why didn't you go to the Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor? The Punishment Hall elder asked Feng Qi'er in surprise as he swept his gaze across the void. Elder, they saved me. I don't have to go to the Demonic Emperor anymore. Feng Qi'er said happily. This senior had promised to help them deal with the Demonic Emperor. How can this be? We're done for. These people saved this brat and Feng Qi'er. I'm afraid they're in trouble. The Demon Emperor won't let this go. This is a disaster. A disaster is coming. Hearing Feng Qi'er's words, the crowd suddenly became tense. No one was happy because Feng Qi'er was saved. This was not a good thing and would bring a great disaster to the clan. Listening to the discussions of the crowd below, the joy in Feng Qi'er's clear eyes faded from her originally smiling face. Feng Qi'er, you're bringing a disaster to the clan. Do you want the whole clan to die for you? Someone in the crowd berated Feng Qi'er. Quickly capture that brat and Feng Qi'er and send them back to the Demon Emperor. Otherwise, there will be a great disaster. Quickly capture that brat and Feng Qi'er. I hope it's not too late to send them back now. The crowd was in an uproar. They wanted to capture Su Yi and Feng Qi'er again. Waves of aura fluctuated from the crowd. Oomph. Huang Jian snorted and his face turned gloomy. You're Feng Yi, right? You should return my things to me. Su Yi's eyes were calm and his face was indifferent. He glanced at the crowd below and finally fixed his gaze on Feng Yu. Brat, come and get them if you dare. Feng Yu's face turned gloomy and he was displeased. He had never been called by his name by a brat. It was not difficult for him to see from the brat's eyes that the brat did not take him seriously at all. If that's the case, then I'll have to trouble Guardian Huang. My thing should be in his spatial bag. Su Yi said to Huang Jian, who was beside him, with a calm expression. Yes, sect leader. Huang Jian nodded. He could not hold it in any longer. His figure suddenly flashed down and a fierce aura erupted. A handprint slammed directly at Feng Yu. How dare you be presumptuous in my clan? Oomph. Feng Yu's face turned gloomy. He was an elder of the clan after all. He snorted coldly, and his aura of the 5th level of the Origin Void stage swept out without holding back. Instead of retreating, he advanced and leaped into the air to clash with the handprint. Whoosh! The two handprints collided, and a powerful airflow blasted out in all directions. There was no explosion as expected. You're overestimating yourself. At the same time, Huang Jian sneered, and a new aura instantly erupted from his body without holding back. The surrounding space shook with a bang. Although the aura of the peak of the 9th level of the Origin Void stage hadn't recovered to its prime, it had recovered quite a bit. A vast aura instantly surged out from the handprint, and Origin energy surged. Shit! When they felt the true aura of cultivation on Huang Jian's body, the Grand Elder, the Punishment Hall's Elder, and the others instantly went grim. Feng Yu's eyes even instantly gushed with astonishment as a terrifying Origin energy poured into his handprint and surged into it. PFFF, Feng Yu spat out a mouthful of blood without turning back, and his body instantly smashed onto the ground like an impact cannon. Boom! The ground cracked as Feng Yu's body smashed onto the ground, causing cracks to appear on the ground around him, and it was a tragic sight. Huang Jian's eyes emitted coldness, and he didn't stop at all before diving down. Quickly attacked together, the Grand Elder shouted in a deep voice. His trembling body suddenly emitted a surging aura that caused the surrounding space to tremble. Boom! 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 Almost at the same time, the Punishment Hall's Elder and the other 2 Origin Void Stage experts recovered from their shock. 3 Origin Void Stage auras burst out. 2 of their auras were much weaker than Feng Yu, but the aura on the Punishment Hall's Elder wasn't inferior to Elder Feng Yu. 4 Origin Void Stage auras surged out in unison as 4 attacks that carried dazzling lights swept towards Huang Jian like a surging storm. Hiss! Amidst the shocking attacks, a black-robed figure directly appeared in the middle of the 4 attacks. The black-robed figure's sleeve swept out, and a surge of Origin energy surged out. The surrounding space froze for no reason as layers of ripple-like waves appeared and spread out. The Grand Elder, the Punishment Hall's Elder, and the other 3's attacks seemed to have frozen. Their gazes went grim as the 4 terrifying auras instantly collapsed, and a vast energy that was like a shapeless storm instantly crashed onto the 4 of them. PFFF. Chapter 9:15. Huang Jian did not stop at all. With merciless West around, he knew that there was no need to worry about the others. He carried a mighty aura and swooped down. Bang! Before Feng Yu could get up, he was stomped to the ground by Huang Jian. Under the tremendous force, Feng Yu's body sunk into the ground. The ground cracked around his body, and he spat out mouthfuls of blood. He was suppressed directly. The surrounding crowd looked at each other in dismay. Everyone was dumbfounded. No one was willing to believe the scene in front of them. Their 5 elders could not even withstand a single blow. It was only at this moment that they realized how terrifying the 2 old men before them were. Origin Emperor Realm experts. The Great Elder, the Disciplinary Hall Elder, and the others stood up and looked at Shi Wuqing. Their eyes were filled with shock. Shi Wuqing was a Yuan Emperor expert, and not just any ordinary Yuan Emperor expert. Oomph. Huang Jian snorted and searched for 2 interspatial bags from Feng Yu's chest. He took them without holding back and shouted coldly. Feng Yu, it seems like you're the one who did it. Not only did you attack my sect master, but you even dared to snatch my sect master's belongings. Elder Feng Yu! Elder Feng Yu! Someone came back to his senses and exclaimed. The crowd was in an uproar. Their Elder Feng Yu was still being trampled under the feet of the expert. Feng Qi'er, how could you bring people to deal with us? Feng Qi'er asked him to stop. Seeing Elder Feng Yu being trampled under the feet of the expert, the crowd did not dare to step forward. Instead, someone shouted at Feng Qi'er. Guardian Huang, don't. Feng Qi'er's eyes changed. She was afraid that Huang Jian would really kill Feng Yu. She immediately looked at Su Yi and said, Please, don't kill Elder Feng Yu. Su Yi's eyes moved slightly. He signaled Huang Jian with his eyes and shook his head slightly. For the sake of that little girl, I will spare your life. Huang Jian said coldly. He lifted his leg and kicked out again. With a loud bang, the poor elder Feng Yu's body was directly kicked away. Once again, he fell heavily more than 30 meters away, causing sand and stones to fly and the ground to tremble. He spat out large mouthfuls of blood. The great elder, disciplinary hall elder, and the rest of the elders' expressions changed drastically, their expressions incomparably solemn and nervous. Secmaster Huang Jian soared into the sky and respectfully went to Su Yi's side. He handed over the 2 space bags he found from Feng Yu to Su Yi. "Thank you, Enforcer Huang." Su Yi was very satisfied. Huang Jian's strength seemed to be much stronger than he had imagined. If he could step into the Origin Emperor realm, his Bawang sect would have another Emperor-class expert. Everyone's eyes trembled as they stared at the void. Seeing the yellow-robed elder being so respectful to the young man, it was not difficult for them to realize that the young man, that Elder Feng you had captured this time, was not an ordinary person. He definitely had a great background and identity. It was like poking a hornet's nest. "Your Excellency, who exactly are you?" The disciplinary hall elder looked at Merciless West, Su Yi, and Huang Jian. At this moment, he could see that these 2 experts were following the young man. That young man was the real master. The young man that Feng Yu had captured had a great background, which attracted these 2 experts. One of them was actually an Origin Emperor realm expert. "Ridiculous. I was captured by you and even used as a scapegoat. Now you're actually asking who we are?" Su Yi looked at the disciplinary hall elder. He did not have any good impression of the disciplinary hall elder. His eyes were cold. Who is the one who secretly tampered with the young man? Merciless West glanced at the 5 Origin Void Realm elders. He had heard from Su Yi that someone had secretly tampered with the bamboo stick on Feng Chi. It's this old thing who secretly broke the bamboo stick. He's not a good person. Su Yi looked straight at the disciplinary hall elder and asked his elder brother, Merciless West, "Then you'll have to pay the price." A faint voice came out from Merciless West's mouth. When the last word was uttered, his figure appeared in front of the disciplinary hall elder like a ghost. The black-robed figure was like a ghost as it enlarged in the disciplinary hall elder's eyes. 2 claw imprints directly grasped the disciplinary hall elder's shoulders as he continued, "I don't know who did this, but I'll cripple them." Ka-ka. Along with Merciless West's words, the disciplinary hall elder's shoulders suddenly emitted cracking sounds. A bang! A scream of agony rang out from the torture hall elder's mouth. With a muffled sound, his body was sent flying. Blood splattered everywhere as he tumbled into the distance. Both of his arms were severed from his shoulders. Blood gushed out from his wounds as he screamed in agony. Everyone's eyes trembled. The disciplinary hall elder's arms were torn apart, and they were still being held in the hands of the black-clothed elder. Blood flowed endlessly, and a bloody mist scattered everywhere. How shocking was this? W knew fastest PXW above 0 bang bang. With a shake of his palm, Merciless West's expression remained cold. The 2 severed arms in his hands were shattered into blood splatters. The great elder, Feng Yu, and the rest were terrified. They knew clearly that the other party had an expert of the Origin Emperor realm, and they were no match for him. "Your Excellency, what are you trying to do?" The great elder raised his eyes. His attitude was much more polite as he looked at Su Yi. He knew that today's decision was in the hands of this young man. "You captured me and asked me to die for you. If I was just a step away, I'm afraid the consequences would be unimaginable. What do you think I'm trying to do?" Su Yi looked coldly at the great elder and said. The great elder's expression changed. He looked at Su Yi and said, "Your Excellency, this is a complete misunderstanding. We are willing to pay the price. Please let our Feng clan go." "Let you go? Why didn't you think of letting me go when you wanted to send me to the Demon Emperor?" Su Yi's expression sank and said to Huang Jian, "I'll have to trouble Protector Huang again. These people want to kill me, so they can all die?" "Yes, Sect Master." "Ku." Huang Jian nodded, and the Xianyang Golden Demonic Falcon screeched. "Ku." The Xianyang Golden Demonic Falcon was the first to explode. Golden light filled the sky. The ferocious bird with a wingspan of several feet swooped down from the void above. The golden light was like the sun, emitting from the golden feathers on the surface of its body. It was like a golden sun, dazzling and sharp. It was as if the sun had descended, accompanied by a sharp and fierce aura. Its sharp claws were like hooks as it directly rushed into the crowd. Rumble. The Xinyang golden demonic falcon flew past. In an instant, dozens of people were overturned. Oomph. Huang Jian rushed out and waved his sleeves. Yuan Qi poured out, and dozens of people were sent flying while vomiting blood. Ah! Screams were heard and the crowd was in chaos. Your Excellency, please stop. Feng Qi'er, make them stop. Feng Qi'er, you are still a member of the Feng clan. How can you bring people here to massacre our clan? Chapter 9:16. No! The faces of the first elder and the others changed drastically. A total of 3 elders moved, and the remaining Yuan Qi in their bodies surged out. Their figures flew out, wanting to stop Huang Jianhe. It was fate that brought them together. As for Elder Feng Yu, he was severely injured, and the Punishment Hall elder had lost an arm and was unable to get up. He had no strength to fight anymore. You can't even protect yourselves. Shi Wuqing snorted coldly. With a sweep of his black robe sleeve, the surrounding space rippled. Waves of invisible energy spread out and struck the 3 elders. Immediately, the 3 Yuan Void Stage experts were sent flying and crashed to the ground. Su, no, I beg you, please let my clansmen go. Feng Qi'er pleaded. Her face turned pale as she pulled Su Yi's arm again. She knew that only if Su Yi spoke, her clansmen could be spared. Su Yi waved his sleeve and signaled Huang Jian and the Xinyang Golden Demonic Falcon to stop their attacks. Give me a reason why I should let your clansmen go. They wanted to kill me, so I have no reason to let them go. Su Yi stared at Feng Qi'er. His voice was loud and his eyes were cold. Feng Qi'er, I beg you, ask them to let us go. Feng Qi'er, you are a member of our Feng clan. We raised you since you were young. How can you lead your men to massacre our clansmen? Everyone's gazes fell on Feng Qi'er. They seemed to feel that the young man would listen to Feng Qi'er at this moment. Only Feng Qi'er could make the young man stop. Su Yi, I beg you, as long as you let my clansmen go, I'm willing to do anything. Feng Qi'er looked at Su Yi with pleading eyes. She was willing to do anything for her clansmen. You said it yourself. Even if I won your life? Su Yi stared at Feng Qi'er and said, as long as you let my clansmen go, I'm willing to exchange my life for it. Feng Qi'er did not hesitate. She had already made up her mind when she agreed to go to the Demon Emperor. Very well, as you wish, your life in exchange for the lives of your entire clan. Su Yi nodded. As soon as he finished speaking, he stretched out his hand and pulled Feng Qi'er into his embrace. Then, he plunged down to the ground. Gazes filled with astonishment and fear fell on Su Yi and Feng Qi'er. They were clearly at a loss. Everyone, listen up. Feng Qi'er's life in exchange for all of your lives. I'll count to 10. 30 of you will come up and kill her. Otherwise, I'll wash this place with blood and leave no one alive. Su Yi looked around with a cold glint in his eyes. What happened? Are you going to kill Feng Qi'er? Everyone's expression changed when they heard that. Everyone looked at Feng Qi'er in astonishment. They originally thought that Feng Qi'er had a good relationship with the young man, but now the young man actually wanted to kill Feng Qi'er? Feng Qi'er was also surprised as she looked at Su Yi in surprise. 10, 9, 8. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Su Yi was already counting down. Oomph! Screech! Su Yi snorted coldly. The Xinyang Golden Demon Falcon circled around and screeched. The aura on its body gradually surged. It was fierce and ferocious with monstrous killing intent. It was not difficult to feel that the moment Su Yi finished speaking, this expert in the ferocious bird would really go on a killing spree. Someone come up and kill Feng Qi'er. Suddenly, the first burly man stepped forward. His face was twitching, and his eyes were filled with fear and malevolence. We're doing this for our clansmen. Quick! With the first person stepping forward, a second and a third person immediately followed. For our clansmen, 3, 2. By the time Su Yi counted down to the second last, 30 people had already stepped forward. All 30 of them were staring at Feng Qi, with fear and malevolence in their eyes. Looking at those fearful and malevolent gazes, Feng Qi suddenly felt a sense of unfamiliarity. Those familiar people, those familiar faces at this moment were so unfamiliar. Even their gazes made her feel a little afraid. Quick, kill Feng Qi. Everything is for the clan. Feng Qi is sick to begin with. Feng Qi, you're also dying for the clan. The clansmen will definitely remember you. Some people directly rushed out with surging auras. Some of them had weapons in their hands that gleamed with cold light. They all rushed toward Feng Qi, afraid that Su Yi's time was up. Boom! In an instant, a series of fierce attacks swept toward Feng Qi. They were chilling and filled with killing intent. Feng Qi's lips curled into a smile. She closed her big and beautiful eyes slightly, but the smile at the corner of her mouth looked so bitter. Bang, bang, bang. A series of sonic booms immediately spread around Feng Qi. Ah! Screams were heard one after another as figures were sent flying backward while vomiting blood. They crashed into the ground in the distance. It was a tragic sight. The surrounding people's eyes became more and more surprised and puzzled. The chilling killing intent in the surroundings disappeared along with the attacks. Feng Qi opened her eyes in surprise. A familiar black-robed figure appeared in front of her to protect her. Did you see that? These so-called clansmen are all extremely selfish. Is it worth it for them to risk their lives to save you? Moreover, this is already the second time. Su Yi said faintly in Feng Qi's ear. Feng Qi's eyes were a little dazed. I've promised your clansmen, so I won't go back on my words. From now on, you don't owe them anything, Su Yi continued. Feng Qi's eyes flickered as she looked at Su Yi, Merciless West, and Huang Jian. She seemed to have understood something. She then took a few steps forward and looked at the group of clansmen. She knelt on the ground and kowtowed 3 times respectfully. Feng Qi, thanks my clansmen for raising me. From now on, I'll serve these lords like a cow or horse. I won't be able to do anything for you guys anymore. As soon as she finished speaking, Feng Qi got up. Everyone looked at Feng Qi, and some of them felt a little embarrassed. Thank you, lords. From now on, Feng Qi will serve everyone like a cow or horse. Feng Qi walked back to Su Yi in Merciless West's side and bowed with gratitude in her eyes. She knew that today's incident was deliberately arranged by these lords. Su Yi probably didn't have any intention of massacring her clansmen. Huang Jian and the Xianyang Golden Demon Falcon didn't really take anyone's life from the beginning. Otherwise, with the strength of the Xianyang Golden Demon Falcon and Huang Jian, who knew how many people would have died. Let's go, Merciless West said softly. Chapter 9:17. The men and the 2 beasts then left and gradually disappeared into the distance. In the square, everyone's eyes were still twitching with lingering fear, especially the great elder and the others, who stood up and looked at the disappearing figures in the distance, unable to recover for a long time. It was as if they had aged dozens of years in an instant. Roar! In the calm void, the roar of a beast was suddenly heard. A huge and ferocious beast's shadow soared into the sky, surrounded by golden light. It was the Golden Gang Griffin. Su Yi deliberately did not bring the Golden Gang Griffin with him when he went to the clan, as he did not want to expose too much. Where are we going now? Huang Jian asked Su Yi and Merciless West. We promised to take care of that demon royal, so let's go. Merciless West looked calm, then looked at Su Yi and said indifferently, but there was a smile in her eyes that could only be understood. The Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead is at LV3 Demon Royal Realm. Then let's go and take care of him. Su Yi understood and smiled faintly. Thank you, sirs. Feng Qi bowed with gratitude. She did not expect the 3 sirs to keep their word and help to take care of the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead. This matter has nothing to do with you. I also want to meet the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead. Su Yi said to Feng Qi, then flew out and landed on the back of the Xianyang golden demon falcon. He said to Merciless West, "Brother, please wait for a moment. I will be back soon." "Sect leader, where are you going? Let me accompany you." Huang Jian saw this and immediately wanted to follow and protect him. He knew that although he had taken Merciless West's bone-devouring soul elixir, Su Yi was his real master. He could not allow any more accidents to happen to the sect leader just now. "No need, just wait here." Su Yi smiled, indicating that Huang Jian did not need to follow. "We will wait here for him," Merciless West said to Huang Jian. She knew what Su Yi wanted to do, but it was not convenient for Huang Jian to know. Although Feng Qi felt that Su Yi was being mysterious, she did not ask further. Moments later, in a secluded place, Su Yi let the Xianyang golden demon falcon guard him while he formed a seal with his hands. Light surged from his forehead as he summoned the mysterious space. "My lord." The Green Emperor, who was in the middle of meditating, opened his eyes. When he saw Su Yi, he immediately stood up and saluted. "You broke through?" Sensing the Green Emperor's aura, Su Yi was stunned. He was worried that the Green Emperor hadn't recovered much, but looking at the Green Emperor's ruddy complexion and full of energy, he could feel that the Green Emperor's aura was much stronger than before. "Many thanks to your Excellency's spiritual liquid, as well as the effects of this place. That's why I made a slight breakthrough." The Green Emperor nodded. His eyes were filled with joy. This was all thanks to the spiritual liquid and this mysterious land of treasures. Not bad, not bad. Wonderful. Su Yi smiled in satisfaction. At this moment, the Green Emperor had broken through once more. This could be considered as an extremely good piece of news. He then turned to the Green Emperor. "There's something that I might need your help with." "Yes, my lord." The Green Emperor nodded his head. He had just broken through to the first level and was itching to test himself out. Inside the mysterious space, Su Xiaoshuai's body was enveloped in flames. His eyes were closed, and he seemed to be immersed in some kind of state. It was rare for Su Xiaoshuai to be so focused on cultivating. Su Yi didn't disturb him and left with the Green Emperor. When Su Yi returned with the Green Emperor, Merciless West seemed to have sensed something. New chapter, section U square root. Sage 0-inch Feng Qi Er's eyes were also filled with astonishment. It was not difficult for her to sense from the invisible aura of the Green Emperor that he was probably another expert. On the other hand, Huang Jian's expression changed. He could feel that the Green Emperor was not an ordinary expert. "Hey, Golden Gang Griffin." The Green Emperor was surprised to see the Golden Gang Griffin. He took a few more glances at it. The Golden Gang Griffin's heart trembled when it saw the Green Emperor's gaze. He was obviously a demon emperor. It felt a pressure that was even stronger than that of the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead. He was definitely not an ordinary demon emperor expert. "This is Big Brother's new mount," Su Yi said to the Green Emperor. "Congratulations." Hearing this, the Green Emperor knew that the Golden Gang Griffin was not an ordinary bloodline in the demon clan. He knew from his relationship with the Merciless West that the Golden Gang Griffin clan was not an ordinary bloodline. "I have to congratulate you." Merciless West's serious face also showed a smile. After spending some time together and seeing the Green Emperor's current strength, she had already approved of the Green Emperor. Then, with the Golden Gang Griffin leading the way, the three beasts headed east. Along the way, Su Yi briefly told them what had happened recently. "I should have killed them all." When the Green Emperor heard this, he was furious. The murderous intent in his eyes made Huang Jian and Feng Qi tremble. From the Golden Gang Griffin, Su Yi and Merciless West already had a certain understanding of the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead. The Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead was at LV3 Demon Emperor realm. In addition to the Golden Gang Griffin, there were also the Scarlet Black-Eyed Demonic Monkey, the Silver Cloud Leopard, and 7 experts of the Demon Void realm. As the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead was at LV3 Demon Emperor realm, Su Yi reckoned that his elder brother, Merciless West, would be enough to deal with him. However, to be safe, Su Yi still called for the Green Emperor. After all, the experts of the Demon Clan were extremely powerful. It It was better to be safe. As for the other demon true realm and demon spirit realm brute demonic beasts, he was not afraid. With the aura of the Origin Supreme technique, as long as there were no accidents, he seemed to be able to suppress them. The most important thing was that he could deal with the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead, who was at LV3 Demon Emperor realm. He was a real expert of the Demon Emperor realm. Not long after, a vast mountain range stood in front of them. The mountains were majestic, and the peaks clustered together. An extraordinarily large and majestic mountain appeared in their sight. The mountain was huge and majestic, but the top of the mountain seemed to have been cut in half. It was like an extraordinarily magnificent cliff standing among the peaks. "Master, it's just ahead," the Golden Gang Griffin said. Its eyes looked forward, and there was a hint of emotion in them. Their identities were completely different from when they came out in the morning. "Oh!" The roars of beasts resounded in front of them. They were mighty and powerful, and they shook the clouds. From the top of the mountain in front of them, a fierce aura spread in all directions, shaking the entire mountain range. The aura was frightening. "There are so many brute, demonic beasts." Merciless West raised his eyes slightly and looked into the distance, as if he had seen something. "There are so many of them." He squinted his eyes and looked forward. He seemed to have found something. "Master, leave it to me." Merciless West did not care much. He had just broken through to the next level and wanted to test himself. He had heard that the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead was at LV3 Demon Emperor realm, so he had been interested. It should be the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead gathering all the brute demonic beasts, the Golden Gang Griffin said. Chapter 9:18. Sui raised his eyebrows slightly. It was not difficult to figure out that the Emperor of the Netherworld was gathering all the savage beasts because of the silver cloud leopard that they had dealt with not long ago. The group of people rode on the savage beasts instead of retreating, heading towards the huge mountain ahead. "Oh!" Deafening beastly roars rang out. Before they even got close, everyone could already feel the ferocious aura. "Lord, you have to be careful when we fight with those savage beasts later. Don't get caught in the crossfire," Huang Jian said beside Sui. Although there was no fear on his face, he was not careless either. He knew that the Emperor of the Netherworld was a LV3 Demon Emperor, but only the merciless West could deal with him. There were so many savage beasts in the Demon Void realm, which were not easy to deal with. Moreover, this was the lair of the Emperor of the Netherworld. "Okay." He nodded. With the merciless West and the Green Emperor here, although he had confidence in confidence, this was the lair of the Emperor of the Netherworld. That beast had the geographical advantage and many savage beasts. Once they fought, it was better to be careful. His strength had not reached the level where he could compete with the Demon Emperor. He could not even be caught in the crossfire, so he could not really participate in the battle. "You have to be careful later." The deafening roars of the beasts came from time to time, and the ferocious aura spread in the void from afar. Feng Qi-er's face had turned solemn, and she was trembling for no reason. This was the lair of the Demon Emperor, and she was instinctively nervous. She reminded Sui and the others to be careful. She knew that the merciless West and Huang Jian were experts, but the Emperor of the Netherworld was a Demon Emperor. "You have to be careful." Sui smiled at Feng Qi, indicating that she did not have to be too nervous. With the speed of the Golden Gang Griffin, the wolf-headed demonic bat, and the Mystic Sun Golden Demonic Falcon, they quickly approached the mountain. The closer they got, the more they felt the vastness of the mountain. This mountain stood among the peaks. It was not the tallest, but it was the largest. It exuded a majestic aura, and one could vaguely see that there were many ancient stone buildings on the mountain. There were pavilions and courtyards standing on the mountain. "That Demon Emperor has discovered us." All of a sudden, Merciless West waved her hand, signaling the Mystic Sun Golden Phantom Falcon and Wolf Head Demonic Bat to stop. Her eyebrows raised slightly, and a light flickered in her deep-set eyes. "Illo!" As Shi Wuqing's voice fell, the mountain in front of them suddenly shook. Light shot up into the sky, and a shocking roar like a dragon's roar suddenly came from above. A figure swept over like lightning, accompanied by a vast aura that caused the surrounding void to fluctuate rapidly. The ground below was filled with sand and stones, and dust flew everywhere. "You must be the ones who have stopped me from doing my thing." A strange laugh resounded like thunder. Then, a figure that was alternating between black and white flashed in front of them. In an instant, he appeared less than 100 feet in front of them, stepping on the void and hovering in the air. It was a middle-aged man who looked like he was in his 40s, but he looked very young. His nose was straight and handsome, and his long black hair was draped over his shoulders, shining with a bright luster. His face was fair, and his eyes were as clear as crystals immersed in water, adding to his seductive aura. However, if one looked closely, the left side of his eyes was pitch black, while the right side of his eyes was slightly lighter. The corners of his thin lips were slightly raised, making his handsome face look even more charming. Such a middle-aged man was very handsome, but there was a seductive aura about him, as if he was a man and a woman in the same body. There was an indescribable evil charm about him. The strangest thing was that this middle-aged man's arms and forehead were covered with scales. The left side was black, while the right side was white. The scales had a metallic texture, emitting a sharp, cold light. The middle-aged man hovered in the air, handsome and seductive. However, the aura on his body froze the void for no reason. It was extremely frightening. Su Yi and Huang Jian's eyes trembled when they felt the monstrous and fierce aura of the former. The former's aura of the demon royal realm was not restrained at all. It seemed that this person was the legendary demon royal Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead. Demon royal realm. If I can get my hands on the demon pearl, it will be a great treasure. Looking at the demon royal, Su Yi could not help but lick his lips. His eyes were filled with a burning desire. The demon pearl of the demon royal realm was a great treasure, absolutely priceless. This young man and woman should have been given to me today. When the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead glanced at the merciless West, the Green Emperor, Huang Jian, and the others, he fixed his eyes on Su Yi and Feng Qi. His long and narrow eyes revealed an evil smile. He said, "Together with you two virgins, I should be able to completely get rid of this sequela. When the time comes, I will be able to go further." Being stared at by the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead, Feng Qi-er's heart palpitated for no reason. Her delicate body could not help but tremble, and she did not dare to look directly at him. Su Yi was not afraid, but the evil gaze made him very uncomfortable. It was as if he was being stared at by an old pervert. He could not help but think that the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead looked like a half-man and half-woman. Could it be that he had a fetish for both men and women? At the thought of this, he could not help but shiver all over. A woo, roar. The beasts roared continuously. Behind the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead, a large number of beasts appeared and spread across the void. The fierce beasts below were galloping, raising their heads and roaring, shaking the mountains. Numerous savage beasts appeared in the sky and on the ground. The ground shook and huge rocks rolled down. The vast aura gathered and shook the heavens and the earth. The scene was terrifying. Su Yi raised his eyebrows. There were no less than 5,000 or 6,000 savage beasts, especially in front of the herd. At this moment, the 7 largest savage beasts had the most ferocious and terrifying aura. Among them, the black-eyed demon monkey and the silver-cloud leopard that he had met in the morning were among them. The other 5 huge beasts had the aura of the demon void realm. One of them was a huge black bull. Its whole body was black, but its horns were straight and sharp. Its body was covered with a faint black light, and its eyes were red. The other one was a huge, strange beast like a camel. Its eyes were the color of the blood moon, and its aura was even more ferocious than the black bull. There was a strange centipede. Its whole body was red. It was the smallest, only a few feet long. However, it had 8 wings and countless feet. It emitted a cold, blood-red light. The blood evil chi on its body was comparable to that of a wolf-headed demonic bat. There was a fierce crocodile. Its body was covered with thick scales like a dense iron armor. It gave people a feeling that it was indestructible. Its huge tail shook the void. Chapter 919. The five demonic void realm ferocious beasts, together with the silver cloud leopard and the black-eyed scarlet wind demon monkey, had an astonishing aura. He licked his lips again. Demonic void realm ferocious beasts all had demonic cores. Oh, a large group of beasts rushed over from the sky and on the ground. Their combined aura was too shocking. The sound waves were sonorous and terrifying. So many savage beasts. Feng Qi, Er's body was trembling. The densely packed barbaric demonic beasts made her shudder. Her heart was heavy. Under such an aura, the wolf-headed demonic bat and the mysterious sun golden demon falcon were not affected much. Light surged all over their bodies as they roared and emitted a ferocious aura. Instead, it caused the ferocious beasts to tremble and feel uneasy. The aura fluctuations from the wolf-headed demonic bat and the Xianyang golden demonic falcon surprised the emperor of the yin-yang underworld. He calmed himself down and glanced at the dense group of beasts. He smiled at the emperor of the yin-yang underworld and said, "Emperor of the yin-yang underworld, how about we make a deal?" The emperor of the yin-yang underworld was stunned when he heard Su Yi's words. He could not help but look at Su Yi seriously. The more he looked at Su Yi, the more surprised he was. He could feel an uneasy aura from the young man. "Who are you?" The emperor of the yin-yang underworld felt that this young man was not a plaything given to him by the humans. It was abnormal that he could feel an uneasy aura from this young man. "I'm Su Yi, the sect leader of the Bawang sect." Su Yi replied. "Bawang sect." The emperor of the yin-yang underworld shook his head and looked at Su Yi in confusion. He said, "I've never heard of you. It doesn't matter. At least you know now. Let's make a deal." Su Yi looked at the emperor of the yin-yang underworld and said with a smile. Although the emperor of the yin-yang underworld was strong, he had his elder brother, Merciless West, and the Green Emperor by his side. They were enough to deal with them. "Making a deal with me? Ha!" He glanced at the Golden Gang Griffin, the Green Emperor, Huang Jian, and Shi Wuqing and said, "You're still wet behind the ears. I don't care if you're from the Overlord sect or if you're the sect leader. Do you think you can be so presumptuous in front of me with just a few people? I think you're a little different, but you're still a virgin. Maybe you'll be of great use to me. Although you're not pure enough, I'll make do with you." The more he looked at Su Yi, the more the yin-yang emperor of the dead liked him. The evil charm in his eyes became more and more intense. "That's disgusting." Being stared at by the yin-yang underworld emperor, Su Yi could not help but feel his hair stand on end. He felt an indescribable discomfort all over his body. He looked straight at the yin-yang underworld emperor and said, "Yin-yang underworld emperor, submit to me, or let me take your monster core. Decide for yourself." "Ha ha!" The yin-yang underworld emperor of the dead laughed. His laughter was like thunder, shaking the void all around. When the laughter stopped, the yin-yang underworld emperor of the dead stared at Su Yi. His eyes darkened, and he said, "Su Yi, after this, I will make you wish you were dead." The yin-yang underworld emperor of the dead stared at the Golden Gang Griffin and said, "It seems that you have submitted to the human. You are a disgrace to the demon tribe. Yin-yang underworld emperor of the dead, I advise you to submit to me." The Golden Gang Griffin said. It knew that its master was not someone to be trifled with. The yin-yang underworld emperor of the dead might not be a match for him, let alone a demon emperor. "Humph, you are willing to submit to the human and be a disgrace to the demon tribe. I will kill you later." The yin-yang underworld emperor of the dead's eyes were sharp and cold. The aura on his body began to fluctuate violently. It spread out and caused an energy tornado to appear around him. "Oh!" The surrounding beasts hissed and roared, their auras soaring to the sky. "Evil creature, you refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. I will take your demonic elixir and roast you." Su Yi's eyes darkened and a cold light flashed in them. "You are still wet behind the ears, and you are still boasting shamelessly. I will show you the strength of the Demon Emperor realm." The yin-yang underworld emperor of the dead's eyes darkened. As soon as he finished speaking, his body trembled and the energy around him fluctuated. Then, he suddenly disappeared. The moment the Yin-Yang underworld emperor of the dead disappeared, Merciless West and the Green Emperor raised their eyes at the same time. At the same time, the Green Emperor's feet flashed and a green light flashed. Then, he appeared directly in front of Su. Swish! A claw print with white scales tore through the void. It was as if a sharp claw had penetrated the void. Wherever the claw print passed, the void was distorted and even the space was dented. After the claw print, the Yin-Yang underworld emperor of the dead appeared. His eyes were filled with coldness. "You are not qualified to attack my lord," the Green Emperor said in a cold voice. His eyes, which were shining with green light, were tinged with the color of blood. It was as if two blood moons were hidden in them. Then, he threw a punch at the Yin-Yang underworld emperor of the dead. Bang! With the collision of the fist and the claw, an astonishing muffled sound rang out like thunder. A monstrous green light shot up into the sky. The terrifying energy surged like a hurricane and swept through the surroundings. Humph! The Yin-Yang underworld emperor of the dead snorted. His eyes were instantly filled with horror. His body was knocked back continuously from the void. It took him more than 10 steps to stabilize himself. At this moment, the Green Emperor's body only swayed slightly. The Yin-Yang underworld emperor of the dead was at LV3 of the Demon Emperor realm. However, he was defeated by the cyan-robed middle-aged man. Moreover, the Green Emperor had to protect Su just now and did not let any of the four scatter behind him. His strength was probably much higher than the Yin-Yang underworld emperor's. Feng Qi'er, who had been scared out of her wits, was also dumbfounded. Apart from Merciless West, the cyan-robed middle-aged man's strength was also so terrifying. How could he defeat the Yin-Yang underworld emperor of the dead? How powerful was he? Looking at the Green Emperor's attack, Merciless West's eyes moved slightly. He was a little surprised. "You are also a demon emperor of the demon clan." The Yin-Yang underworld emperor of the dead stopped. His eyes were filled with horror. Judging from the strength and aura that the former had just displayed, he was a demon emperor. "How dare you attack my lord? I will not spare you." The Green Emperor did not pay attention to the Yin-Yang underworld emperor of the dead. He leaped into the air like a flash of green lightning. In an instant, he arrived before the Yin-Yang underworld emperor of the dead. A dazzling green light ribbon burst out from his hand, accompanied by an ear-piercing sound. "Who the hell are you?" Chapter 920. Bang! Under the violent collision, light burst out, the void trembled, and the mighty force was overwhelming. Sizzle! The Yin-Yang emperor of the netherworld was knocked back again. He staggered in the void and retreated in a straight line. The scales on his palms made a clattering sound, and there were faint marks on them. His face was much paler. Obviously, he had suffered a great loss. The Green Emperor was still only hindered. He shook slightly, and his aura surged. The green light was dazzling, and his eyes were frightening. There was a great pressure in them. The Yin-Yang Emperor of the underworld's expression changed drastically, and he was filled with fear. After 2 exchanges, he already knew how powerful the former was. The former was a demon emperor who was more powerful than the others. Roar! The Yin-Yang Emperor of the netherworld gritted his teeth and calmed down. Then, he raised his head and roared. He raised his head and roared like a dragon. Then his body swelled and shone brightly. Layers of black and white scales spread out from his body. His body also grew bigger. Everything happened quickly. The void trembled violently, and a huge flood dragon, hundreds of feet long, appeared in the sky. Its scales were black on the left and white on the right. They had a metallic texture and gave off a dim light. The aura of an LV3 Demon Emperor realm swept out without reservation. The flood dragon's head was ferocious, and it roared ferociously with its bloody mouth. Roar! Roar! As the Yin-Yang Emperor of the netherworld transformed into his true form, the void behind him shook violently. Thousands of beasts roared, and their auras gathered together and spread in all directions like waves. It was extremely shocking. The Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragon? I was wondering what your true form was. It turns out that you are just a mixed flood dragon. Looking at the true form of the yin-yang emperor of the netherworld, the Green Emperor looked at him indifferently, as if he did not care much. Su Yi and Merciless West were also looking at the true form of the yin-yang emperor of the netherworld. The yin-yang hell flood dragon's bloodline level was indeed slightly inferior to that of the Green Emperor's true form, the sounding snake. Moreover, the Green Emperor had been cleansed in the mysterious space, and after taking the spiritual liquid, he had become much stronger. The yin-yang hell flood dragon could not compare with him. I am the emperor of this place. Since you are here, I have the final say. Kill him. The yin-yang emperor of the netherworld roared ferociously, and his killing intent filled the air. Roar! In an instant, the beasts surged. The beasts in the void flapped their wings, and their auras were vast and mighty. Especially the silver cloud leopard, red wind black-eyed, demonic monkey, and the other demonic illusionary stage barbaric demonic beasts. Their auras were even more ferocious. Their beastly roars were like thunder, shaking the clouds. Who dares to die? The Green Emperor, emperor of the beasts of the beasts of the netherworld, The Green Emperor was once the emperor of beasts and had once commanded a region. At this moment, the bloodline pressure from his body had risen to another level. Under such pressure, the stampede of beasts was immediately obstructed. Fear gushed out from the eyes of the beasts as they were thoroughly intimidated by the Green Emperor. You must die. When the yin-yang emperor of the dead saw that the beasts behind him had been obstructed and were fearful of the Green Emperor, the coldness in his eyes froze. He felt that his position was being challenged and threatened. The black and white light on his bright flood dragon body became even brighter. In a flash, his huge body charged toward the Green Emperor with a ferocious and violent attitude. Then I will play with you. When the yin-yang hell flood dragon's huge body moved, the Green Emperor's face darkened. 2 blood moons seemed to be hidden in his bright green eyes. Instead of retreating, he rushed out to meet the attack. The speed of the Green Emperor was as fast as lightning. However, the moment his figure flew out, his body seemed to expand. Green light shone brightly, and with a humming sound that caused the void to tremble, he turned into the original form of a sounding snake that was hundreds of feet long. It flapped its 4 wings, and its humming sound was like the chime of a bell. Boom! At this moment, the aura of the Green Emperor of the LV 4 Demon Royal Realm burst out completely. His 4 wings flapped and made a sound like a bell. The green light soared and turned into a long green river that swept forward. The 2 huge beasts expanded in the void and instantly filled the void. They collided with each other like lightning. Suddenly, the sky was filled with light, and the void rumbled. A woo! Rumble! The roar was earth-shattering. The ground below shook, and some mountains collapsed. Boulders exploded, and the ground cracked. At this moment, the 2 Demon Royal Realm experts were fighting in the void. The light was dazzling, and the energy was terrifying. The beasts were trembling. This battle was so terrifying that ordinary beasts did not even have the power to be affected. They instinctively retreated in fear, and their eyes were full of fear. The eyes of the Silver Cloud Leopard and other Demon Void Realm beasts were trembling. Sounding Snake. Huang Jian was also shocked. Looking at the real body of the Green Emperor, his heart trembled under the terrifying aura. Feng Qi was even more shocked. She just realized that the middle-aged man in green was also such a terrifying Demon Royal Realm expert. She could not help but feel that the young man beside her was unfathomable and mysterious. Swoosh, swoosh, rumbling sounds kept coming from the sky. The green light was dazzling, and a large area of green light fluctuations entangled the real body of the yin-yang ghost dragon. The yin-yang ghost dragon's body was black and white. However, under the suppression of the Green Emperor, it gradually dimmed. Many of the green lights were shattered, but it was more and more restrained. The Green Emperor roared and swept across the sky. His huge tail was like lightning and crushed the back of the yin-yang ghost dragon. Immediately, Many of the scales on the back of the yin-yang ghost dragon were shattered. Plop! The huge body of the yin-yang ghost dragon almost fell. Although it stabilized its body, the shattered scales were already bleeding. It spat out a bloody mist from its hideous mouth. Woo-woo! The four wings moved together. The Green Emperor raised its head and did not stop. Its huge body was crushed again. Yin-yang dragon shadow kill. The yin-yang ghost emperor's ferocious eyes were extremely solemn. At the same time, a huge shadow spread out from the dragon's body. The shadow of the yin-yang ghost emperor's real body was very strange. It was actually two dragons, one black and one white, entwined together. They pounced on the Green Emperor together. You overestimate yourself. Seeing this, the Green Emperor said coldly. His huge body changed. His four wings flapped, and he roared. The green light all over his body burned like green flames. A shadow of his real body also appeared around him. Its power skyrocketed and directly suppressed the black and white yin-yang ghost dragon shadows. It was like a mountain pressing down on them. The two black and white yin-yang ghost dragon shadows suddenly dimmed, and then their light was directly obliterated. Roar! The yin-yang ghost dragon screamed and was suppressed by the Green Emperor. Many cracks appeared on the scales on its body again. The scales cracked and blood flowed. You little mixed blood dragon, how dare you be so presumptuous? The Green Emperor roared. The green light on the huge body of the sounding snake was like the sun. With the cultivation of the LV4 Demon Emperor realm, he directly suppressed the yin-yang ghost dragon. The green light was monstrous, and the shadows were directly distorted and blurred. Chapter 921. The aura of the huge-sounding serpent was so oppressive that it made them shudder with fear. In particular, an invisible power seemed to be able to suppress their beast souls. Ow! The yin-yang emperor of the underworld roared, shocked and frightened. His blood-red eyes surged, and he struggled with all his strength, his huge tail stirring the void. You are no match for me. The Green Emperor roared, and his huge green tail swept across the sky and smashed hard on the Green Emperor's ferocious head. Bang! Ah! The yin-yang emperor of the underworld screamed in agony. Blood rained down from his head. His huge body fell from the sky and crashed heavily on the ground. The falling body of the yin-yang hell flood dragon shook the earth and the mountains. Boulders cracked and mountains collapsed. Cracks appeared on the ground around his huge body, as if an earthquake had occurred. The yin-yang hell flood dragon howled and roared in pain. Blood flowed out from his black and white scales, and his eyes were filled with incomparable coldness and rage. However, the yin-yang emperor of the underworld was not a fool. He realized his current situation, and before he could even scream in pain, a strange black and white light spread out from his body. It seemed to contain a strange energy, and it caused the ground around him to shake for no reason, causing violent movements. Chi! In an instant, the yin-yang netherworld emperor's huge body, the yin-yang netherworld serpent, strangely turned into an illusory shadow. It directly drilled into the ground and disappeared, leaving only a few illusory afterimages in the deep pit and cracks on the ground where it had just crashed. However, its body had strangely disappeared. This change caught the Green Emperor a little off guard, and he was stunned. The Green Emperor did not expect the yin-yang emperor of the underworld to have such a trick up his sleeve. He also did not expect the yin-yang hell flood dragon to escape without hesitation. At this moment, Merciless West's figure appeared in the air. Her face was calm, and a surge of yuan qi surged out from her body. Then, as her hand seals changed, it turned into a large invisible net. Accompanied by an all-pervasive soul fluctuation, it immediately shrouded a large area of the mountain below. Chi-chi, ka, bang, bang, bang. As the energy net shrouded the mountain, a burst of chi-chi sound came from the mountain below, as if something was burning under the ground. Then, with a ka-ka sound, a large area of cracks on the ground exploded, and the ground began to collapse. Ow! With a long roar, the yin-yang hell flood dragon body, which had just disappeared, appeared from the cracks on the ground. His body was covered by an invisible net, and his ferocious eyes were full of fear. "You are a soul controller." Yin-Yang Netherworld Emperor was startled. He looked at Shi Wuqing with fear in his eyes. At this moment, the Yin-Yang Hell Emperor finally noticed the black-robed old man. He thought the sounding snake was the strongest, but now he realized that the black-robed old man was even stronger than the sounding snake. He was also a powerful soul controller. The Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor's true body, the Yin-Yang Underworld Flood Dragon, struggled madly. However, no matter how hard it struggled, it could not break free from the energy light net. "Humph, you almost got away," the Green Emperor shouted and turned into his human form. Green light shone brightly, and he fell like a meteorite. Under the huge impact, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Underworld's body was crushed to the ground. Ow! The Yin-Yang Emperor of the Underworld was already bound. Now, under the terrifying impact of the Green Emperor's anger, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Underworld screamed and roared. Bang, bang, bang. But at this moment, the Green Emperor of the Underworld had already punched the back of the Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragon body. Suddenly, the sound of metal clashing could be heard. Under the great power of the Green Emperor's fists, the black and white scales on the Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragon's back dimmed and cracked, and blood splattered. Ow, ow. The Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragon screamed and struggled, but at this moment, he was bound by the invisible net of energy. Coupled with the explosive attacks of the Green Emperor, he was in a terrible state. No matter how hard he struggled, it was useless. The ground around him kept cracking. The poor Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragon's scales kept cracking, and his flesh was badly mutilated. Originally, the Green Emperor of the Underworld was stronger than the Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragon. Under such punches, a huge bloody hole appeared on the back of the Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragon. The hole was so deep that the bone could be seen. The Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragon screamed and struggled even more violently. What was more tragic was that the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Underworld realized that he was bound by the powerful soul controller and could not even self-destruct his monster core. Humph! The Green Emperor snorted and jumped on the head of the Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragon. He punched the ferocious head hard. Bang! This punch made the Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragon's head bleed. He was dizzy, and the thick black and white scales on his forehead exploded. Blood gushed out, and the aura on his body withered. Fortunately, the Yin-Yang Abyss Flood Dragon's thick scales were extremely hard. Otherwise, the Green Emperor's punch alone would have been enough to blast his head apart. The Green Emperor of the Underworld did not hesitate. He punched again and wanted to kill the Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragon. "Wait!" He waved his sleeves and shouted, his eyes flickering. The Green Emperor's fist stopped right above the head of the Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragon. His fist was glowing with a dazzling green light, and the terrifying power fluctuation made the Yin-Yang Hell Emperor very clear that if this fist landed, he would definitely die. "Your Excellency." The Green Emperor looked at Su Yi in surprise. However, the fist stopped above the head of the Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragon. As long as Su Yi nodded, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Underworld would be killed immediately. "Yin-Yang Emperor of the Underworld, I'll give you one last chance. Surrender to me, or die." As Su Yi said this, the red light behind him overflowed. He stepped out with the steps of transformation, and his pneuma formed a pair of wings. He flew down from the sky. At this moment, Su Yi's eyes flickered. Judging from his situation, with his elder brother Merciless West's help, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Underworld would be completely restrained. He could not even explode his monster core. Su Yi had thought that the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Underworld would be difficult to deal with. However, once the monster core exploded, things would be different. Su Yi was very clear about the power of Ling Qianxue's monster core explosion. "Are you a human or a demon?" Feeling the aura of Su Yi, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Underworld trembled even more. He was a human, but his aura was like that of a supreme demon. The fear and shock in his heart made the Yin-Yang Abyss Flood Dragon very clear that as long as he did not submit, he would definitely die today. The monster core in his body was a precious treasure. Now that he was restrained, he could not even explode his monster core. However, it would be difficult for him to surrender to a human. Chapter 922. F Genuine UB Starter 0. Chapter 923. Boom! At this moment, the void around them trembled. Suyi's black hair fluttered behind his back. He looked domineering and arrogant. His eyes were covered by red light. He looked straight at the Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragon and said in an unquestionable tone, "This has nothing to do with you. This is your last chance. I'll count to 3. If you don't surrender, you'll die. 1, 2. His voice was like thunder, reverberating in the void. Howl. At this moment, under the power emanating from Su-Yi, the surrounding beast tide trembled, roared, and prostrated. The red-wind, black-eyed demon monkey, silver cloud leopard, and other savage beasts at the monster void realm were also suppressed. Under such momentum, the Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragon was completely shocked, as if a young supreme of the monster clan had arrived. It was just wondering why such a powerful Mingxi emperor would listen to this young human. Now, it seemed that this young man was definitely not an ordinary human. His aura was like that of a supreme of the monster clan. That was why the Mingxi emperor followed him. Boom! The green emperor rode on the head of the Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragon. His aura surged, and his fist was shining with green light. There was no doubt that at this moment, as long as Su-Yi said the 3 words, the Yin-Yang Hell Emperor would not hesitate to kill him with a punch if he did not surrender. 3. Su-Yi's voice was sonorous like wind and thunder. As he counted to 3, the red light in his eyes surged with killing intent. When he saw the murderous intent surging in Su-Yi's eyes, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead did not hesitate at all. The mighty force above his head and the supreme pressure of the demon clan emanating from the young man almost instinctively made his beast soul and blood tremble. He immediately opened his mouth and prostrated himself on the ground, saying, "I submit." Looking at the prostrating Yin-Yang Hell Emperor, the killing intent in Su-Yi's red eyes slowly dissipated. A faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Although the monster elixir was a precious treasure, the flesh and blood of the Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragon at the Demon Royal Realm were priceless. However, none of this could compare to the Yin-Yang Abyss Flood Dragon's decision to submit. Having a 3rd-level Demon Emperor realm, Yin-Yang Abyss Flood Dragon by his side, was naturally much better than having a 3rd-level Demon Emperor realm monster core. Looking at the prostrating Yin-Yang Abyssal Flood Dragon, the Green Emperor withdrew the green light on his fist, and the coldness in his expression eased considerably. Fengqi was completely dumbfounded by this scene. The demon emperor that everyone in the clan feared was now prostrating before Su-Yi and submitting to him. Whoa! The Yin-Yang Abyssal Flood Dragon prostrated and chose to submit. The remaining thousands of savage beasts also had no choice. They prostrated in the sky and on the ground, howling and roaring as they submitted. A moment later, on top of the mountain, ancient stone buildings, pavilions, and courtyards could be seen. They were majestic and magnificent, surrounded by lush greenery and exotic flowers. Su-Yi, Merciless West, Huang Jian, Green Emperor, and Fengqi were amazed by everything on the mountain. They did not expect the Yin-Yang Abyss Emperor to occupy such a wonderful place in the depths of the mountain. This place used to be a small mountain gate. Later, I took it over and spent a lot of manpower to improve it into what it is now. The Yin-Yang Abyss Emperor had already transformed into his human form. His body was riddled with scars, and his aura was weak. His injuries were so severe that it was unbearable to look at. It's a good place. Huang Jin looked around and thought that the Yin-Yang Abyss Emperor had cleaned up this place well. Although this place is good, there are better places. Su-Yi smiled slightly, as if hinting at something. Have you found a place to stay? Looking at the meaningful smile on Su-Yi's face, Merciless West's expression changed slightly. Yes, I'll discuss this with Big Brother later. Su-Yi chuckled and waved his sleeve. Then, he said to the Green Emperor, I have some arrangements. I'll leave this place to you. Pass down the order to seal this place. I'll be in seclusion for a while. Protect me." "Yes, master," the Green Emperor replied. Then he dashed out and disappeared. Oh, then the roars of beasts could be heard around the mountain. Shadows of beasts spread out in all directions. Their auras fluctuated, and they were ready for battle. Sensing his surroundings, Su-Yi heaved a long sigh of relief. Now that he was in the chaos domain, he finally had a place to settle down. This was the Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor's territory, and he was temporarily safe. Now he could relax and do some things. After an hour, in the deep valley behind, there was a hidden cave. There was a completely different world inside the cave. It was extremely spacious. Outside the cave, the Green Emperor sat cross-legged and waited outside. Inside the cave, the silver cloud leopard and the black-eyed red wind demonic monkey looked at Su-Yi curiously. They did not know why Su-Yi had asked them to come here. They were already badly injured. The Yin-Yang Abyss Emperor was also puzzled. This young man was going to be in seclusion. He did not know why he had brought him to this cave. Huang Jian was also puzzled. Why did the sect master bring him here? It seemed a little mysterious. The Golden Gang Griffin crept beside Merciless West and looked at Su-Yi curiously. Feng Qi was even more puzzled. The young man in front of her was becoming more and more mysterious. Only Shi Wuqing had a smile on his face. He glanced at the Golden Gang Griffin, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead, the Silver Cloud Leopard, and the others. He knew that these guys were lucky. This was a great opportunity that other savage beasts could only dream of. Just follow me in. There will be a great opportunity for you. As he gazed at the surprised and bewildered gazes in the surroundings, Su-Yi stared fixedly at the Yin-Yang Nether Flood Dragon and said, "If you want to obtain this great fortune, then I'll set up a demon soul contract on you. From today onward, if you dare to betray me, then I'll be able to annihilate you with a single thought from a distance of 5,000 kilometers away." "I'm willing." The Yin-Yang Abyss Emperor nodded and looked away. He had chosen to submit. At this time, he knew that there was no way out, and he had no other choice. The Yin-Yang Abyss Emperor knew that if he dared to say no, it would mean that he had betrayed him. He was afraid that the young man in front of him would kill him immediately. "Okay." Su-Yi nodded to the Yin-Yang Abyss Dragon calmly. Then he formed a seal with his hands. There was a faint fluctuation of light between his eyebrows. It rippled with divine brilliance, and then it spread all over his body. The dazzling light filled the cave. When the light surged and the aura spread, the Yin-Yang Abyss Emperor, the Golden Gang Griffin, the Silver Cloud Leopard, and the black-eyed red wind demonic monkey were shocked. The mysterious space was filled with the energy of heaven and earth. Huang Jian, the Silver Cloud Leopard, the black-eyed red wind demonic monkey, and Feng Qi had not come to their senses yet. They were dumbfounded. Chapter 924. Regardless of the aura in this space, even if there was a blazing flame not far away, which seemed to contain something, the aura alone was enough to instill fear and reverence in the depths of their beast souls. The Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragon turned into his true form and sat cross-legged in front of his ferocious head. His body was extremely uncoordinated, but he had an extremely terrifying aura. With his eyes slightly closed, Su-Yi's hand seals occasionally changed, and a light fell between the eyebrows of the Yin-Yang Hell Emperor. Roar! At this moment, the Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragon's head, whose eyes were tightly closed, roared a bright and crystal-clear Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragon. It was like a miniature version of the Yin-Yang Hell Emperor, but the aura that erupted from its body was extremely shocking and dazzling. Su-Yi's soul power surged and condensed into a seal in the mind of the Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragon. The heavenly demon ancient scripture on his body was activated, and there was energy constantly fluctuating around his body. In the outside world, a demonic but not evil demonic aura lingered around Su-Yi's body. A terrifying aura filled with an ancient aura, like the undulating waves of the sea, seemed to be able to suppress all directions and spread into this space. Roar! Not long after, A strange seal fell on the body of the yin-yang hell flood dragon's beast soul, and a demonic but not evil aura flashed from the depths of the beast soul. A roar like a dragon's roar also came from the beast soul of the yin-yang hell flood dragon. In the mysterious space, at the same time, Su Yi's eyes opened. His pair of deep and bright eyes were bright, surging with a whirlpool-like light. The multicolored light flickered, but his face was as pale as ash. This was the demonic spirit contract from the heavenly demon ancient scripture. Back then, Su Yi had set up this demonic spirit contract on the Green Emperor. Although the yin-yang hell flood dragon did not resist, with Su Yi's current strength, setting up a demonic spirit contract in the body of the yin-yang hell flood dragon would consume a lot of energy. After the demonic spirit contract was set up, Su Yi's figure swept down and stood in front of the yin-yang hell flood dragon's huge body. The blood on the body of the yin-yang hell flood dragon had not dried up, and it was a terrible sight. There were bloody holes so deep that the bones could be seen and the scales were broken. The black and white light flickered, and the closed eyes slowly opened. Boom! At this moment, the mysterious space suddenly trembled for no reason. In the next moment, a mighty aura fluctuated from the depths of this mysterious space. Divine light descended, accompanied by a boundless aura. Multicolored light filled the sky and suddenly enveloped the yin-yang emperor of the dead. Rumble, lightning flashed, thunder rumbled, and the void trembled. A mighty divine light energy poured directly onto the yin-yang hell dragon, the body of the yin-yang hell emperor. Roar, the scarlet wind black-eyed demon monkey, the silver cloud leopard, and the golden gang griffin all trembled in fear. Their eyes were filled with fear and reverence from the depths of their beast souls and bloodlines. They roared towards the depths of the void. The divine light shone down on the yin-yang emperor of the dead's body, which was in a terrible state. In an instant, the yin-yang emperor of the underworld's horrifying physical body began to recover at a speed that was almost visible to the naked eye. A mysterious and ancient energy seemed to have passed through time and space and directly entered his body. Roar! The yin-yang hell flood dragon stood with its head held high, roaring like thunder as it welcomed the divine light pouring down. It greedily absorbed the ancient energy, and its huge eyes were filled with awe, shock, excitement, and excitement. What a great opportunity! Merciless West sighed inwardly. He had seen all of this with his own eyes. After knowing all of this, the Green Emperor's body had changed so much. Su Yi's pale face had a smile at the corner of his mouth. As he had expected, the yin-yang hell flood dragon had completely submitted to him after he had set up the demon spirit contract. In the mind of the yin-yang hell flood dragon, there was a wisp of his soul power, which was recognized by the mysterious space. The mysterious space would give him great benefits. That was what had happened to the Green Emperor. The yin-yang hell flood dragon was at the third tier of the demon emperor realm. Su Yi valued it very much. He wanted to completely subdue it and give it a great opportunity. It would be a great help to him now. Su Yi had escaped death in the Sacred Martial Arts Conference. Now that he was in the Chaos Zone, he knew very well that he had to work hard to increase his strength. He alone was not enough, far from enough. Huang Jian was also dumbfounded by this. He stared blankly at everything in front of him. The yuan qi in his body was blocked. His body was trembling, and his soul was constantly throbbing. Did he bring someone here again? Amid the commotion, the blood jasper spirit ginseng appeared in the distance. It poked its head out of the herb field and looked curiously. However, the blood jasper spirit ginseng did not dare to get close. It was afraid that Su Yi would bring in another terrifying guy like Handsome Su. If that happened, it would be in trouble. Take this to heal your injuries. Su Yi waved his hand, and 3 small bottles of spiritual liquid landed in front of Huang Jian, the Golden Gang Griffin, the Silver Cloud Leopard, and the Scarlet Wind Black-Eyed Demon Monkey. Huang Jian's injuries had not healed. The Golden Gang Griffin, the Silver Cloud Leopard, and the Scarlet Wind Black-Eyed Demon Monkey were also injured. Su Yi had brought them here to heal their injuries with the spiritual liquid. He wanted to give them an opportunity to cleanse their bones and bones. When that time came, they would be able to advance to the next level. Although Huang Jian, the Golden Gang Griffin, and the others did not know what Su Yi had given them, it was not difficult to imagine that it was an opportunity. Without any hesitation, they consumed it. When the spiritual liquid reached their throats, their expressions changed drastically. "Little girl, do you know who I am?" Shi Wuqing asked as he looked around. His gaze then landed on Feng Qi, whose eyes were twitching and whose heart was filled with fear. "Senior, you're Su Yi's elder brother." Feng Qi came back to her senses and looked at Merciless West. She only knew that the expert in front of her seemed to be Su Yi's elder brother. He was the one who suppressed the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead and was also the legendary powerful soul controller. "I'm Su Yi's sworn elder brother." "That's right, but I have some other titles. It won't be too late to tell you later." Merciless West smiled and looked at Feng Qi. He said seriously, "There's something special about you. You might not live long. You already know that. I'm afraid you don't have much time left." "I already know. Thank you for saving me, Senior. It's a pity that I'm sick. I can only repay Senior's kindness in my next life." Feng Qi's eyes were calm. She knew that she had a terminal illness since she was a child and that she would not live long. She was already lucky to be able to live until now. She was already mentally prepared. "What you have is actually not a disease. Strictly speaking, it's a calamity chi poisonous soul," Merciless West said. "Calamity chi poisonous soul." Feng Qi was a little puzzled. She had never heard of it. "Yes, calamity chi poisonous soul. It's a long story, and I'll explain it to you later. However, it's not impossible to cure it. There's a great chance. I can give it a try, but the process is extremely painful. It's better to be dead than alive. If you can't endure it, you may die now. However, if you can endure it, the chances of you being completely cured in the future will be great," Merciless West said to Feng Qi. "If there's a chance, Feng Qi is willing to give it a try. It'll be good for me to serve you more. Senior, thank you very much." Chapter 925. "Okay, as long as you're not afraid." Merciless West nodded, then said to Su Yi, "Do you have any more of that spiritual liquid? Give some to this little girl first." Merciless West was well aware of the effects of the spiritual liquid. It could cleanse one's bones and cleanse one's marrow. If Feng Qi could obtain such benefits, she would be more confident. "Okay." Su Yi nodded. He knew that Merciless West had taken a fancy to Feng Qi's calamity chi poison soul, so he took out some spiritual liquid and gave it to Feng Qi. It was not that Su Yi was stingy, but Feng Qi's cultivation was still too low. There was no way she could avoid consuming the spiritual liquid. Feng Qi could also tell that the spiritual liquid was a treasure. Under Merciless West's gaze, she sat down cross-legged and consumed the spiritual liquid. A moment later, there was a faint fluctuation of energy around Feng Qi. There was a flicker of light as the energy from the spiritual liquid in her body rushed into her organs. "Are we going to stay here for now?" Su Yi was about to discuss this matter with his brother, Merciless West. He glanced sideways at Feng Qi, who was refining the spiritual liquid, and said to Merciless West in a low voice, "Although this place is good and safe for the time being, I feel that the Feng clan's place is not bad. It's very secluded." Hearing Su Yi's words, Merciless West's deep-set eyes were stunned for a moment before they lit up. He said, "That place is indeed not bad. The heaven and earth energy is also quite rich. It could be considered a treasure in the chaos territory. If it wasn't for its secluded location, it would have been taken away long ago." "What do you mean?" "Those people from the Feng clan aren't good people either. It's the chaos territory. Since we're here, let's just do as the Romans do." Su Yi chuckled. "Since we're in the chaos territory, let's just do as the Romans do. That place is indeed not bad. What a good, when in Rome, do as the Romans do." Shi Wuqing smiled. His gaze when he looked at Su Yi was filled with unfathomable emotions. After that, He narrowed his eyes and spoke in a soft voice. Since the ground is hidden, it's time to prepare to concoct the Royal Sky Soul Pill. Imperial Heavenly Soul Pill. Sui knew that his brother, Merciless West, had been preparing for the Imperial Heavenly Soul Pill for decades. It was no ordinary pill. Its effect was shocking. And not only could it increase one's strength, but more importantly, it could strengthen one's soul. It was a treasure that all soul as they dreams. Back at the auction, Sui had heard that the Nebula Ganoderma was the main ingredient for refining the Star Soul Heavenly Mending Pill. It was also an elixir that could strengthen one's soul. However, compared to the Royal Heavenly Soul Elixir, it was slightly inferior. The main ingredient for the Star Soul Heavenly Mending Pill was the Nebula Ganoderma, but the main ingredient for the Imperial Heavenly Soul Pill could be the Nebula Ganoderma. However, the Blood Jade Spirit Ginseng and the Nebula Ganoderma had to be an extremely high level. The higher the level of the Nebula Ganoderma and the Blood Jade Spirit Ginseng, the better the effect of the Imperial Heavenly Soul Pill would be. If I can successfully concoct the Imperial Heavenly Soul Pill, it should be able to increase the level of my soul by a small step. My strength will also be able to reach a higher level. Shi Wuqing's eyes shone with passion. For a soul controller, the level of one's soul was everything. His soul level was not weak to begin with, and after cultivating in this precious space and taking in the spiritual liquid, his soul level had improved even further. His body had also been cleansed, and he seemed to be getting younger and younger. However, if he could concoct the Extreme Emperor Heavenly Soul Pellet and improve his soul level even further, it would be even more shocking. This breakthrough had also increased his chances of success in concocting the Extreme Emperor Heavenly Soul Pellet. Big Brother will definitely succeed, Sui said. He knew that Merciless West's soul was not ordinary. If Merciless West's soul could reach a higher level, he would be even more powerful in the future. Moreover, the Nebula Ganoderma had always been placed in this spatial treasure land. Presumably, it had reached a higher level now. Merciless West narrowed his eyes. He was looking forward to it. For the Imperial Heavenly Soul Pill, he had been preparing for 20 years. Although his strength had increased again, he still didn't have much confidence in concocting the Imperial Heavenly Soul Pill with his current strength. However, he didn't have much time to wait. He planned to start concocting the Imperial Heavenly Soul Pill. Sigh, thinking about the Nebula Ganoderma, Sui couldn't help but let out a long sigh. He had bought the Nebula Ganoderma on credit. He had almost forgotten about the mysterious wooden box on him. Back then, he had competed with the Saint Mountain and spent 100 million one-star yuan stones. He had to pay it back. The crowd and the beasts were already cultivating the benefits of refining the spiritual liquid. Sui took out the mysterious wooden box and played with it in his hands. 1 billion one-star yuan stones to buy an unopenable wooden box. Sui's heart was bleeding. Although it was said that there was an inheritance of an expert from the demon-subduing sect, even if it was really the inheritance of an expert from the demon-subduing sect, in Sui's heart, it definitely wasn't worth this price. Big Brother, take a look. Sui handed the wooden box to Merciless West. He wanted to see if his big brother could discover the mystery. Even the people from the Spirit Treasures Pavilion couldn't open it. I don't think I can do anything. After an hour, Merciless West, who had tried many methods, shook his head. He was also helpless. Let's think of another way. Sui was helpless. He could only continue to place the wooden box in this mysterious spatial treasure land. Merciless West also went to the side. He closed his eyes and adjusted his breathing. Sui also sat cross-legged at the side. 2 spatial bags appeared in his hands. They were obtained by Huang Jian from Fengyu. The spatial bags opened automatically in this mysterious spatial treasure land. The primordial stones turned into powder. There were some cultivation resources in the 2 spatial bags. However, Sui didn't care too much about them. Fortunately, the broken sword was really in the spatial bag. He had recovered it. Holding the broken sword in his hand, Sui carefully examined it. This seemingly insignificant broken sword contained a huge secret. The terrifying killing intent was no small matter. However, he didn't know how to unlock it. He looked at it again. Still, he didn't know how to unlock the secret of the broken sword. So he could only give up. He thought of the woman in the barbaric demon forest. He took her spatial bag and took the broken sword. He wondered how she was doing now. Let's recover first. He whispered and smiled bitterly. He had just placed a demon spirit contract on the Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor and consumed a lot of energy. After a while, Suyi's body was shrouded in red light. There was a rich energy of heaven and earth in this mysterious spatial treasure land. It poured into his body. It was invisible and connected. It fluctuated with a destructive and overbearing pressure. Chapter 926. The divine light seemed to contain a mysterious power from the ancient times. It covered the black and white scales on the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead's body, causing the black and white light to flicker and flicker. It gave off an ancient aura from the ancient times. Gradually, the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor's huge body started to change. The black scales on the left and the white scales on the right seemed to be moving. They gradually merged together. Black and white alternated, and there was a deep light on the scales, which gave off a crystalline texture. The commotion lasted for several hours, and the injuries on the Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor's body were completely healed. At this moment, the Yin-Yang Ghost Dragon's huge body was covered with divine light. The scales on the dragon's body were crystal clear, and there was an ancient aura. At the same time, the aura on the body of the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor also changed imperceptibly. The demonic aura became thicker and more terrifying. Upon closer inspection, a thin layer of hard shell had peeled off from the scales covering the Yin-Yang Nether Emperor's body, revealing sparkling and translucent scales. The scales were open and unobstructed. Black and white light alternated, giving off an incomparably powerful feeling. Boom! At a certain moment, a mighty aura rose from the body of the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor like a rocket. It soared into the sky, and the demonic aura surged and filled the entire mysterious space. Swoosh! Swoosh! This movement startled Merciless West and Sui. They stopped their breathing and opened their eyes. He is transformed from the inside out. Merciless West sensed everything on the body of the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor. The Yin-Yang Ghost Dragon was like the Green Emperor. It was a transformation from the inside out, and it was strengthened from the inside out. What a great change! Sui was also surprised. The scales on the body of the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor were originally black on the left and white on the right, but now they were intertwined. The breakthrough of the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor caused a great disturbance. No one knew how long it would last. Sui and Merciless West continued to close their eyes and breathe. A few hours later, the shocking commotion caused by the Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor finally calmed down. When everything calmed down, the aura of the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor's ferocious body stopped at the LV 4 Demon Royal Realm. It was even close to the peak of the LV 4 Demon Royal Realm. It was not far from the LV 5 Demon Royal Realm. Sui and Merciless West stopped their breathing at the same time. They withdrew their handprints and fixed their eyes on the huge body of the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead. At this moment, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead's true form, the sounding snake, was coiled in the void. Its scales were sparkling and translucent, and its black and white colloid body was shining brightly. A vast demonic aura filled the air. Its eyes were slightly closed, and its aura was monstrous. He's actually so strong. Sui stared at the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor. Although it had only been 20 hours, the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor's aura was vastly different from before he was seriously injured. He even felt that the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor's aura was stronger than that of the Green Emperor. Sui reckoned that the Green Emperor might not be able to defeat the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor with his current cultivation strength. More importantly, the aura of the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor was not simply a breakthrough in his cultivation strength. It was a transformation from the inside out. Compared to before, this was a huge leap, as if he had crossed a huge ravine. Of course, Su-yi also knew that the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor was not really stronger than the Green Emperor. It was just that the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor had benefited greatly from entering the mysterious space with his cultivation strength at the LV3 Origin Emperor realm. The Green Emperor was different at that time. The Green Emperor was still stronger than the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor at the same level. In just a moment, the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor opened his eyes in midair. He seemed to feel that his body had been strengthened from the inside out. The shock in his eyes could not be calmed down for a long time. At this moment, only the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead himself knew what kind of benefits he had obtained. This was a supreme opportunity, an unimaginable benefit. After the shock, the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor's eyes were full of excitement and surprise. He could not wait to roar to the ninth heaven. The black and white light shone brightly. The Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor's huge body distorted the void. Then, he turned into a human figure and landed directly in front of Su-yi. At this moment, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead's appearance had changed a lot. On his handsome face, there was more demonic qi, but less seductive qi, and he looked a little younger. Looking at Su-yi in front of him, the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor's eyes shone brightly. He knelt down on one knee and said with excitement and awe, "Thank you, Master. It seems that you've gained a lot. Get up." Feeling the aura of the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor, Su-yi was very satisfied. The Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor's strength had soared again. More importantly, the invisible transformation had given him a promising future. Now, in addition to his sworn brother, Merciless West, and the Green Emperor, he had another Emperor Realm expert by his side. There were also thousands of savage beasts and many savage beasts in the Demon Void Realm outside. Such a lineup should not be underestimated in the Chaos region. The Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor got up and looked at Su-yi. The excitement in his eyes could not be extinguished. Great waves were set off in his heart. If he had known that he would gain such benefits after surrendering, he would have done so without hesitation. He would have surrendered even if he had to cry and beg. Such benefits were simply unimaginable. He would be a fool to miss it. This place is really mysterious. Looking at the transformation of the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor, Merciless West was shocked. Previously, the Green Emperor had transformed. Now, the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor had transformed again. This brought great shock to him. This space was too extraordinary. It was an unimaginable treasure land. By the way, why do you capture a bunch of men and women from the Phone Clan every year? You should change your hobby in the future. Su-yi asked the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor. Although the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor had surrendered, he could not tolerate the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor's hobby. Hearing this, the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor felt helpless and embarrassed. Later, Su-yi and Merciless West learned from the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor that when the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor had broken through to the Origin Emperor realm, he had been affected and almost suffered from Qi deviancy derangement when he transformed into a human. Finally, an accident occurred when he transformed into a human, and he became a hermaphrodite. This also affected the cultivation of the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor. The only way to recover was to gather the Yin-Yang Qi from the 81 virgins to replenish the Yin-Yang Qi. But this time, the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor found that he had been completely healed and had even undergone an unimaginable transformation. Are you a man or a woman now? Or are you a hermaphrodite? Su-yi looked at the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor in surprise and asked. Chapter 9:27. And then, Su-yi asked curiously, "Well, now I'm a hermaphrodite, but I can change my gender freely." As soon as the Yin-Yang Emperor finished speaking, his body flashed, and his handsome face turned into a beautiful woman's face. She looked to be in her 30s, and she was extremely young. Her lips were like cherry blossoms, and her eyebrows were like ink paintings. She was as beautiful as the autumn waters, and there was an indescribable charm about her. Looking at the woman that the Yin-Yang Emperor had turned into, Su-yi was dumbfounded. He did not expect such a transformation. Merciless West looked at the Yin-Yang Emperor's female appearance with shock in her eyes. This is the rare Yin-Yang coexisting body of the Yin-Yang Nether Flood Dragon clan. It is a legendary talent of the Yin-Yang Nether Flood Dragon clan. It is said that the Yin-Yang Nether Flood Dragon clan with the Yin-Yang coexisting body can transform into Yin and Yang shadows, and their strength will soar. Yes, it is true. The Yin-Yang Emperor nodded and looked at Su-Yi with excitement and gratitude in his eyes. He said, "Thank you, Master, for the opportunity you have given me. The Yin-Yang coexisting body is a legendary existence even in the Yin-Yang Nether Flood Dragon clan. I have always doubted it, but I did not expect it to really exist." Now that he had the Yin-Yang coexisting body of the Yin-Yang Nether Flood Dragon clan, he thought that it was a great opportunity given by Su-Yi. With the Yin-Yang coexisting body, his strength would soar, and he would not be the same as before. Su-Yi smiled. It seemed that the Yin-Yang Emperor had made great progress, and he would be a great help in the future. Boom! At this moment, a blazing aura suddenly erupted not far away. It was like a sea of fire had suddenly spread across the entire mysterious space. It was like surging waves, rising fog, and dazzling multicolored light. The fog and the multicolored light merged, and the waves of fire rippled, creating a colorful scene. When the aura fluctuated, the Yin-Yang Emperor's expression changed drastically. Amidst the blazing sea of fire, an incomparably huge figure of a beast emerged. A voice that could shock the heavens and earth instantly resounded in this space. Ku, an illusory figure of a seven-color divine bird, spread its wings in the sea of fire. It was shrouded in a misty and chaotic light. Seven-colored light filled the air and raging flames surged. A terrifying aura was extremely shocking, as if it had surpassed the immemorial era. Its eyes seemed to contain a sea of fire. Many illusory figures of ancient beasts sank into its eyes and disappeared in a flash. It looked disdainfully at the world, as if it could look down on the world and suppress millions of lives. When the enormous figure appeared, its terrifying aura caused the entire mysterious space to tremble. The earth quaked and the mountains swayed. Divine Bird Phoenix. Looking at the enormous shadow, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the underworld was extremely shocked. Then his knees went soft. This was the first time he had felt such an aura. He knelt down directly. Oh, the golden steel griffin, cloud-stepping silver leopard, and scarlet wind black-eyed demon monkey, who were circulating and refining the spiritual liquid in their bodies, had also woken up at some point in time. The three enormous beasts prostrated themselves and bowed down in worship, trembling. The blood jasper ginseng also poked its head out of the herb field. Looking at the terrifying movement, it murmured in shock, "This little thing has broken through again." All the movement calmed down in a moment. It did not last long. The enormous, illusory figure of the divine bird disappeared. Then, a small bird the size of a palm flapped its wings and flew directly to Su-Yi's shoulder. Its clear and bright eyes were rolling. It said affectionately, "Boss, I have broken through again." Good. Su-Yi was so happy that he could not close his mouth. He knew Handsome Su best. One day, when Handsome Su really grew up, he would be able to dominate the world. The Yin-Yang Emperor of the underworld, the cloud-stepping silver leopard, and the others were still staring at Handsome Su in shock. Their beast souls trembled for no reason. Even at the Yin-Yang Emperor of the underworld's cultivation, they could not help but feel the innate fear and awe in their blood. Another 3 in the Origin Void Realm? Let's continue our breathing. Handsome Su seemed to have felt the gaze of the cloud-stepping silver leopard and the others. Standing on Su-Yi's shoulder, Handsome Su glanced at them. He knew that those who had been brought here by their boss were on his side and had all surrendered. Then, Handsome Su's eyes fell on the Yin-Yang Emperor of the underworld. Suddenly, his small wings spread out. His aura was so hot that it was as if a fire was about to spread out. With dazzling colors, he flapped his wings and directly appeared in front of the Yin-Yang Emperor of the underworld. Divine light shot out from his eyes, but then the light faded a little. He said, "It's a big snake. I thought it was a dragon." The Yin-Yang Emperor of the underworld could not help but tremble. Just now, he felt the aura of Handsome Su. He could not help but feel a chill in his beast soul and break out in a cold sweat. This is the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Underworld, the body of the Yin-Yang hellish flood dragon, Su-Yi said to Handsome Su. He was a little surprised that Handsome Su had such a big reaction. It seems to have a good aura, but it's not a dragon after all. Handsome Su withdrew his aura and flapped his wings back to Su-Yi's side. Looking at Su-Yi again, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Underworld felt more and more unfathomable. That was clearly a divine phoenix. It was incredible that his master had a divine phoenix by his side. According to the legends, the divine phoenix and the real dragon clan had been buried in the ancient times and did not exist in the world. They had disappeared in the long river of time. However, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Underworld had clearly seen and felt that the body of the little bird was really a divine phoenix that had disappeared. The aura was exactly the same as in the legends. Apart from the divine phoenix, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Underworld could not think of anything else that could make his beast's soul tremble. Well, Huang Jian seems a little different. In the mysterious space, Su-Yi's eyes fell on a figure in the distance that was covered with light. The Yin-Yang Emperor of the Underworld and Handsome Su's breakthroughs had caused such a huge commotion, but Huang Jian was still doing breathing exercises. The energy of heaven and earth around him seemed to have changed a little. This is a great benefit. He may be able to break through to the Origin Emperor stage. Merciless West's eyes followed Su-Yi and fell on Huang Jian. He was not surprised. This mysterious space was a treasure trove. Coupled with the benefits of the spiritual liquid and the fact that Huang Jian was at the peak of the 9th level of the Origin Void stage, it was only a matter of time for him to break through to the Origin Emperor stage. All he needed was an opportunity. Is Huang Jian going to break through to the Origin Emperor stage? Upon hearing this, Su-Yi was quite excited. If Huang Jian broke through to the Origin Emperor stage, he would have another Emperor stage expert by his side. Let's go out first. There are some things that need to be arranged. Chapter 928. After a while, the silver cloud leopard, red wind black-eyed demonic monkey, and golden gang griffin continued to refine the spiritual liquid in the mysterious space. Feng Qi was still refining the spiritual liquid. Su-Yi took Yin-Yang Emperor of the Hell, Su Xiaoshui, Merciless West, and Huang Jian out of the mysterious space. Master, outside the cave, the Green Emperor had been guarding. Then, his eyes fell on Su Xiaoshui and Yin-Yang Emperor of the Hell who were beside Su-Yi. Green Emperor had already known Su Xiaoshui's aura. He was afraid that this little guy had broken through again. However, Yin-Yang Emperor of the Hell's aura had increased a lot, which surprised the Green Emperor. B. $. Page initials \H/0 inch no Discord, no Concord. Last time was unfair. Now, I'm also at LV4 of the Demon Emperor realm. Let's fight again. Looking at the Green Emperor, Yin-Yang Emperor of the Hell was not convinced. Last time, he was trampled by the Green Emperor because he was at LV3 of the Demon Emperor realm. But now, he was also at LV4 of the Demon Emperor realm and was only one step away from LV5. Let's fight. Green Emperor could feel that Yin-Yang Emperor of the Hell's aura had increased a lot. Although Yin-Yang Emperor of the Hell had almost escaped last time, Green Emperor of the Hell did not use all his strength. Now, seeing Yin-Yang Emperor of the Hell's fighting spirit, Green Emperor of the Hell also wanted to fight and prove it. Well, you can fight later. First, I have something for you to do. Su-Yi stopped him immediately. He did not want the Green Emperor and Yin-Yang Emperor of the Hell to fight at this time. Based on Su-Yi's understanding of the Green Emperor and Yin-Yang Emperor of the Hell, it was not difficult for him to know that if the Green Emperor and Yin-Yang Emperor of the Hell fought now, both of them would at least be injured. Su-Yi did not want the two demon emperors around him to be injured at this time. Yes, Master. Yin-Yang Emperor of the Hell and Green Emperor of the Hell obeyed Su-Yi's order and did not dare to fight. After a while, in the main hall, Su-Yi looked at Yin-Yang Emperor of the Hell and said Emperor of the Hell and said Emperor of the Hell said, Emperor of the Hell, go, but try not to kill anyone. Yes, master. The Green Emperor accepted the order and leaped out of the main hall. Like a long rainbow streaking across the void, his voice reverberated in the void. Let's go. Howl! Enyong of the Hell, and Enyong Emperor of the Hell, and Flu Emperor of the Hell Mountain King, of Hell. Hall of Hell Emperor of the Hell Place. King you of Sect of the Hell, of the Hell Place, King Place. Just treat it as the price that the Phone Clan has to pay. If it wasn't for Big Brother's timely arrival, I might have been dead by now. So, the Phone Clan has to pay a price. Suit, he said in a deep voice with a cold look in his eyes. He had done what he had promised Phone Chi-er. Enyong Emperor of the Hell would not massacre the Phone Clan. Now, it was time for him to pay the price. Shi Wuqing smiled, but did not say anything. His eyes moved slightly as he looked at Su Yi with a profound expression. He originally thought that this brat would really forget about the Phone Clan, but it turned out that this brat had been thinking about that place for a long time. However, Merciless West understood that this was the only way for the Bawang sect to gain a foothold and become powerful in the Chaos region. She was worried that Su Yi would not be able to display his full potential in the Chaos region. After all, it was a truly chaotic place where the strong were respected and real strength was not enough. There were also all kinds of insidious and treacherous people. Now, it seemed that Su Yi had gotten used to it quickly and had begun to adapt. I will leave this place to you for the time being. Familiarize yourself with the surrounding environment and forces. After pondering for a while, Su Yi told the Green Emperor. Yes, master. The Green Emperor replied. I will go out and prepare some last things. When I come back, I will be ready to refine the Huangji Heavenly Soul Elixir. Merciless West said to Su Yi. Brother, be careful. Su Yi said. Be careful. I will be back in 10 days or half a month. Merciless West said. She was not worried about Su Yi. At this moment, the Green Emperor and the Enyong Emperor of the Dead were two demon emperors by his side. They were enough to deal with most problems. Su Yi nodded. They were safe for the time being. He was worried about his brother, Merciless West. However, considering that his brother was the Yama Merciless West, he did not have to worry too much. After a while, Merciless West left and disappeared into the void. Su Yi had been in mysterious space for a while. Now that he had finally come out, he was like a bird that had been set free, running all over the mountain. Su Yi was still worried and could only let the wolf-headed demonic bat follow him. With the Green Emperor on the mountain, Su Yi was relieved. He had nothing to do for the time being, so he went to the back of the mountain. At the back of the mountain, the sky was dark and the sunset glow covered the sky. Su Yi looked at the sky and squinted his eyes. He had finally settled down in the Chaos region. In the Chaos region, he did not have to be afraid of the sacred mountain for the time being. However, he could not be careless. He was only safe for a short period of time. However, Su Yi knew that if the sacred mountain knew that he was in the Chaos region, they would not let him go. Moreover, he could not hide his identity for long in the Chaos region. Although the Chaos region was not the central region, there were still spies in the sacred mountain. Therefore, the most important thing now was to increase his strength. Su Tianke and Shu Yinlin's whereabouts were unknown. Su Yi had not forgotten about them. However, he could not do anything about it. He could only look for them when the time came and hope that they were fine. Phew! After a while, Su Yi exhaled a long breath and murmured, Let's see if I can cultivate. Wong. As soon as he finished speaking, a 3-foot sword appeared in his hand. It made a clanging sound as it glittered with light, and Yuan Qi fluctuated. Xiao. The sword radiance fluctuated as Su Yi formed a sword sign. Suddenly, a sword radiance flashed. At this moment, Su Yi planned to cultivate the 13 Gale Swords. After obtaining the 13 Gale Swords and the Mad Dragon's 3 blades, Su Yi had only successfully cultivated the Mad Dragon's 3 blades. Although the 13 Gale Swords was only a king-grade martial skill, it was comparable to a royal-grade martial skill. The sword technique was extremely fast and powerful. However, the cultivation method of the 13 Gale swords was very abnormal. First, one had to refine their body with a 10,000 gene heavy sword. Then, one's soul power had to surpass those of the same cultivation level to be able to use the 13 Gale swords. In other words, if one was a soul controller, the 13 Gale swords would be even more powerful. In addition, this was also the main reason why Su-Yi was unable to cultivate the 13 Gale swords. To cultivate this royal-grade martial skill, one had to be at least in the Origin Emperor realm. Even the most talented geniuses had to be at the Origin Void realm. Otherwise, they could forget about it. Su-Yi had tried before. The Floating Hunter Transformation Steps was a true royal grade wind attribute martial skill, and it was not that difficult to cultivate. However, after trying, he could only feel helpless. No matter how talented a martial artist was, they had to be at least in the Origin Void realm to cultivate it. This was very terrifying. Su-Yi could only give up. But now, Su-Yi wanted to try again to see if he could cultivate the 13 Gale swords. At least, he had never fallen behind in refining his body with a heavy sword. Chapter 929. Cultivating the 13 Swords of Gale required a heavy sword to temper the body. The most important thing was to train the strength of the arms and wrists. All this while, Su-Yi had been carrying the broken sword on his back and training the strength of his arms and wrists whenever he had the time. Now that the broken sword was in Su-Yi's hands, it was as heavy as 10,000 pounds. It was a terrifying weight. Swish, swish. The sword art in Su-Yi's hands changed as he cultivated the 13 Swords of Gale. The wind attribute energy fluctuation around him was slow and jerky. Not far away, the Xianyang Golden Demonic Falcon was entrenched in golden light. Its sharp eyes scanned the surroundings and landed on Su-Yi from time to time. Its eyes were filled with astonishment. The Gimdeo sect might not be considered a huge force in the entire Chaos region. However, over the past few years, the Gimdeo sect was a force that couldn't be underestimated within a few hundred miles. Over the past few years, the Gimdeo sect had annexed many small forces nearby and became the largest force within a few hundred miles. The Gimdeo sect's sect master, Yang Baikuan, was at the 5th level of the Origin Emperor realm. In addition to Yang Baikuan, there were 3 other Origin Emperor experts in the Gimdeo sect. Most importantly, the strongest person in the Gimdeo sect wasn't the sect master, Yang Baikuan, but Yang Yi. The father of the Gimdeo sect's sect master, Yang Baikuan, was rumored to be in seclusion. It was because of Yang Yi's existence that the Gimdeo sect was able to rise. They annexed many forces nearby and became the largest mountain sect within a few hundred miles. The majestic buildings were connected and the pavilions alternated. The surrounding mountains were rugged, but the surrounding area was filled with the energy of heaven and earth. In the vast plaza, there was a huge golden blade that was made of pure gold. It pointed to the void and was several feet tall. It was filled with golden light and had a sharp aura. Investigate. You must find out who killed my son. I will make him beg for death. I will tear his body into 1,000 pieces. An enraged and cold voice came out from the hall. It was mixed with Yuan Qi and shook the void. This was the extreme anger of this person. His son was killed without a corpse. In the end, they found the scene and determined that his son was killed. How could Yang Baikuan not be angry? Yang Chuan was Yang Baikuan's only son, and he had always spoiled him. He was the only son of the 7 generations of the Yang clan, and he was the heir of the Yang clan. However, he was killed by someone. Yang Baikuan's current mood was understandable. He was indescribably sad and furious. For Yang Baikuan, the death of his only son, Yang Chuan, was an unspeakable secret. The cultivation method he practiced was a little overbearing. When he was young, he overdid it and caused some small accidents. He almost went berserk and couldn't extricate himself. Although he was fine in the end, his body was seriously damaged, causing him to be unable to carry on his ancestral line. Fortunately, Yang Chuan was already born at that time, so this was also the reason why he especially spoiled Yang Chuan. Yang Baikuan's only son had been killed, and the Yang family had only one son in 7 generations. One can imagine how young Baikuin was feeling right now. Young Baikuin originally looked like he was in his 50s, but at this moment, he seemed to have aged 10 years overnight. His hair was white, and his eyes were cold. His eyes were bloodshot with anger, adding to his sinister look. Sect Master, this area is the territory of our Golden Saber sect. It shouldn't be a big problem. Furthermore, Huang Jian is here. Those below the Origin Emperor realm shouldn't have much of a chance against Huang Jian. This time, young Sect Master went hunting. Could it be that Yin Yang Hell Flood Dragon's doing? Said an old man in his 60s. He looked like he was in his 60s. His aura was calm, but his eyes were bright. He was wearing a tight robe. His black hair was neatly combed into a bun. He gave off an aura that couldn't be underestimated. The Yin Yang Hell Flood Dragon has always been afraid of our Gimdeo sect. We don't want to offend the Demon Emperor in that area. That's why we don't offend the Demon Emperor. That's why he wouldn't risk offending our Gimdeo sect. I've personally investigated the scene. Although there are traces of demon beasts, they aren't strong. Hearing this, young Baikuin thought for a moment. His rage didn't affect his judgment. Otherwise, the Golden Saber sect wouldn't have been able to grow stronger and stronger under his leadership. However, young Baikuin seemed to have thought of something. He frowned slightly and said, "But we can't be sure that it's not the doing of the Yin Yang Hell Flood Dragon. Senior brother, there are remnants of the Origin Emperor realm's aura. Since there are Origin Emperors, I'm afraid this matter is a little strange. Could it be the doing of those sects?" Said a middle-aged man. His eyes were flickering with golden light, revealing a kind of fierceness. Strictly speaking, he was a middle-aged fat man. He was so fat that it was difficult to describe his head and ears. The seat that the middle-aged man was sitting on was custom-made. It was 3 times the size of an ordinary person's seat. At this moment, it was a little crowded for him. There were circles of fat around his stomach, as if the seat would collapse at any time. No matter who did it, we must get to the bottom of it. Young Baikuin sneered. His eyes were cold. He said in a sinister voice, "When I find out who did it, I will not let him go. I will make him beg for death." Oh, the tide of beasts surged, roaring like thunder. "It's the Demon King. We're done for. Help! Who can come and save us?" The Phone clan was in chaos and fear. Everyone was trembling with fear. The demonic emperor had personally arrived, bringing with him a majestic army of demonic beasts. The great elder of the Phone clan and the others were as pale as ashes. The Demon King had come in person with a group of Demon Void Realm experts. Any one of them could massacre the Phone clan. How dare you let a few humans deal with me? Do you really think that those humans are my match? You're just courting death. The Yin Yang Hell Emperor had transformed into a man. His eyes were sinister, and his eyes were alternating between black and white. He looked a little evil. The terrifying aura on his body made everyone's hair stand on end. They could not help but tremble. "Demon King, it's really not our fault. We're also victims. Those people injured us. We're also victims." An elder explained. It was not difficult to understand from the words of the Yin Yang Hell Emperor that those terrifying experts, including the Origin Emperor realm experts, had been killed by the Yin Yang Hell Emperor. Chapter 930. A roar. Suddenly, numerous savage beasts roared in the sky and on the ground. The ground shook and huge rocks rolled down. The mighty aura gathered and shook the heavens and the earth. It was a terrifying scene. Behind the Yin Yang Emperor of the Dead, there was a huge black bull. Its body was glowing with black light, and its eyes were red. There was a strange beast that looked like a camel. Its eyes were as red as the moon. There was a blood-red centipede. Although it was the smallest, only a few feet long, it had 8 wings. Its countless legs were shining with a cold red light. Its body was exuding a murderous aura. A ferocious crocodile covered with thick iron scales flew across the sky. Its body was cold, and its tail was swinging, causing the void to tremble. A black bear stood in the void. Its eyes were as red as the moon. It was extremely terrifying. Under such a terrifying aura, everyone trembled. Their hair stood on end, and their legs went soft. Quick, everyone leave this place. The Grand Elder shouted. This was their last chance. It was impossible to stop the demonic beast emperor. Now they had a chance. At least some of them could escape. Run, quick, quick. Some of the core members of the clan took the lead and led the Phone clan away quickly to buy time. I still have things in my room. There are still many cultivation resources in the clan's storehouse. Some greedy people want to go back and pack up. Ents, why are you still not running? Rumble. The giant crocodile flew across the sky and swept its tail. Along with a terrifying gust of wind, many people were sent flying. They spat out blood and fell to the ground. Run. First Elder shouted. This was the last chance. Dozens of years ago, an elder of the Phone clan accidentally found this place and let the Phone clan flourish in this hidden place. This was a paradise in the Chaos region. Now, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead was going to massacre this place. They could only escape. Woo-woo, help! Children cried. Some people wailed. The Phone clan was in chaos. Fear and shock intertwined. Everyone was running for their lives. Soon, there was no one left in the Phone clan. They were running for their lives. Drive them away. The Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead stepped into the void and waved his hand to the experts behind him. Immediately, the experts chased after the Phone clan. Search. Don't leave a single one behind. The Yin-Yang Hell Emperor ordered his men to search the area. Swish, swish. Rays of sword light shot out from Su Yi's hand. The sword light flashed through the void and left shallow cracks on the ground wherever it passed. Bang, bang. A muffled boom rang out as a huge boulder exploded. Su Yi stopped practicing the 13 Swords of Gale as soon as the sword spell was put away. He let out a long breath, and his face was pale. It seemed that a day of practice had consumed a lot of his energy. Still not enough. Su Yi muttered as he looked at the treasured sword in his hand. He felt a little disappointed. The 13 Gale swords was really difficult to cultivate. We'll continue tomorrow. His face was pale and his body was weak, but the light in Su Yi's eyes was even more resolute and resolute. Although the 13 Swords of Gale was difficult to cultivate, Su Yi had made some progress today. He was increasingly aware of the power of the 13 Swords of Gale. Su Yi knew that once he succeeded in cultivating the 13 Gale swords, Su Yi would have one more trump card. He sat cross-legged on the ground and adjusted his breath. Cultivating the 13 Gale Swords of Gale had consumed a lot of energy. Su Yi found it hard to bear. Night fell slowly. The bright moon hung high in the sky. The gentle moonlight shone down on the cliff. The Xianyang golden demonic falcon crept on the huge boulder. Its eyes were like lightning as it looked around vigilantly to protect Su Yi. Unknowingly, Su Yi's pale face had regained its rosy color. The aura of the Origin Supreme technique on his body had also been replaced by gentleness under the change of the handprint. As time passed, with Su Yi as the center, the bright moon shone down. Energy fluctuations came from nowhere in the nearby void. They emitted a faint radiance like the fluctuation of moonlight. Finally, they swept towards a spot between Su Yi's eyebrows. O% edition first release, 0. When this energy entered the spot between Su Yi's eyebrows, it was like a spring breeze to Su Yi. It was indescribably comfortable. Under this energy, Su Yi could feel a substantial soul power fluctuating from the depths of his mind. Under the warm energy, the soul power in his mind glowed. It fluctuated and moved at will. This feeling was too wonderful. It was indescribably comfortable. Walala. Sitting cross-legged, Su Yi calmed himself down. He was cultivating the art of driving the heavens. As a soul controller, Su Yi knew the importance of soul power. The art of driving the heavens cultivated soul power. All along, Su Yi had not neglected the art of driving the heavens. Walala, time passed slowly. Su Yi's body was shrouded in a fluorescent light. The light fluctuated, and an ancient aura spread out from his body. In the distance, the Xianyang golden demon falcon felt this aura. It was secretly shocked. It was affected and suppressed. The night passed. When the sky gradually brightened, Su Yi stopped cultivating. He opened his eyes. A light flashed and disappeared. Then it returned to a deep and tenacious state. It seems like there are signs of a breakthrough. Feeling everything in his body, Su Yi's face was filled with joy. He had a breakthrough at the sacred martial assembly. He had successfully cultivated the great void spirit sea. At this moment, he felt signs of a breakthrough. Su Yi guessed that this might have something to do with the recent battle and his exhaustion. Last night, he cultivated the art of driving the heavens. With the help of his soul energy, he felt that he was about to break through to the next level. However, this was only a sign that he was about to break through. Su Yi knew that once he cultivated the great void spirit sea, the qi in his body would be vastly different from that of an ordinary cultivator of the same level. It would be enough to crush his opponent. Although this was a good thing, there was a small drawback. It would undoubtedly require a lot more yuan qi than other cultivators of the same level. Of course, this was only a small drawback. Compared to the yuan qi required for a breakthrough, one's cultivation level was the most important. This was because yuan qi could be accumulated with time. Su Yi was confident that he could suppress those of the same level with the great void spirit sea. "Boss, I'm back." A voice rang out from afar. A gorgeous ray of light flashed like lightning and appeared in front of Su Yi. It was a small bird with colorful wings flapping. Its small eyes were rolling around excitedly. It was handsome Su, who had just returned from a trip. "Don't go too far. There are many experts from the demon clan and the human clan nearby." Su Yi reminded handsome Su. Although this area was relatively safe, there were many experts in the area. Su Yi had heard from Huang Jian and the others that there were many experts from the demon clan and hidden experts. If they found out about handsome Su's identity, it would be troublesome. However, Su Yi also knew that he could not let handsome Su cultivate in the mysterious space all the time. He needed his own training and experience to truly grow. "Boss, don't worry." Handsome Su did not take it to heart. Then he remembered something and said to Su Yi, "By the way, boss, the wolf-head demonic bat and I have captured a human, a little guy." Chapter 9:31. That brat was sneaky. If I hadn't seen him, he would have been killed. The wolf-headed demonic bat, and I let him go, but he didn't leave. He said he was looking for someone, so we brought him back, handsome Su said. "Could it be, Su?" He seemed to have thought of something. The bright moon hung in the sky, and the night shrouded the mountains. In the main hall, Su Yi saw the person brought back by handsome Su and the wolf-headed demonic bat. He was a young man about the same age as Feng Qi'er, about 21 or 22 years old. His clothes were very simple, and under the tight clothes, his body was thin but strong. His face was simple and honest, but there were many bloodstains on his body. His hair was disheveled, and his injuries were not light. When the young man saw Su Yi surrounded by the beasts in the main hall, his big black eyes looked as if he had seen a ghost. He was so shocked that he didn't know what to say. "It's really you." Looking at the young man, Su Yi's eyebrows relaxed. Who else could it be other than Feng Pu, who was very close to Feng Qi'er? Just as he expected, it was Feng Pu who came. Su Yi still remembered that when the Golden Gang Griffin brought him out of the Feng clan's territory, he saw someone leaving the Feng clan's territory from afar and had been chasing after him. Now, it seemed that Feng Pu's purpose was very clear. He was probably here for Feng Qi'er. From the wolf-headed demonic bat, Su Yi learned that the wolf-headed demonic bat and handsome Su encountered Feng Pu and were almost swallowed by the savage beasts. However, they accidentally heard Feng Pu shouting for Feng Qi'er. The wolf-headed demonic bat knew who Feng Qi'er was, so it saved Feng Pu. "How could you? You're not dead?" After a long time, Feng Pu seemed to have recovered from his shock. He looked at Su Yi dumbfounded. He seemed to want to ask why this young man was here, but he felt that something was wrong. Why was this young man not dead in the Demon Emperor's territory? Moreover, he seemed to have a high status. It wasn't easy to come this far. Su Yi couldn't help but sigh in admiration. Feng Pu's cultivation had barely reached the demon spirit realm. The journey from the Feng family's territory to here was very dangerous, especially since there were barbaric beasts everywhere. It wasn't easy for him to survive. However, this also had something to do with the fact that the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Underworld had brought a lot of savage beasts to the Langfeng family. Even so, if it weren't for the wolf-head demonic bat and handsome Su, this guy would have died a long time ago. If you're not dead, then what about Feng Qi'er? How is Feng Qi'er now? Where is she? Feng Pu looked at Su Yi with a tense expression. He saw a glimmer of hope. If this young man was fine, then Feng Qi'er might be fine as well. Feng Qi'er is fine. Everything is fine. Su Yi knew about the relationship between Feng Pu and Feng Qi. That night in the square, he also knew that Feng Pu was willing to take Feng Qi'er away for the sake of Feng Qi. He had also heard about this young man from Feng Qi'er. Where is she now? I want to see her. Hearing this, Feng Pu heaved a sigh of relief. A slight smile appeared on his pale face that was stained with blood. Answer some of my questions first. Aren't you afraid of dying by coming here? Su Yi asked Feng Pu curiously. I'm afraid of dying, but I want to die with Feng Qi. She has been alone since she was young. I'm her only friend. I can't let her die alone. Feng Pu said to Su Yi after hesitating for a moment. Then, Su Yi found out from Feng Pu that Feng Pu was really prepared to die. For the sake of his family and sister, Feng Qi wouldn't be willing to leave with him secretly. He could only sneak out of the family and run all the way to the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Underworld to find Feng Qi. He knew that he was no match for these savage beasts, but he still wanted to die with Feng Qi. It would be better if he could save Feng Qi. He's really brave. Su Yi murmured. He looked at Feng Pu with admiration. It was an exception to have such a person in the Feng family. Where's Feng Qi? I want to see her. Feng Pu begged. He didn't know why this young man was fine, but he could tell that this young man had a high status here. These savage beasts had to listen to him. Feng Qi is still busy. I'm afraid you'll only be able to see her in a few days. Go and treat your injuries first. When Feng Qi is free, I'll ask her to look for you. Su Yi signaled the wolf-headed demonic bat to take Feng Pu away. No, I want to see Feng Qi now. Feng Pu was a little doubtful. He wanted to see Feng Qi now. However, Su Yi didn't say much. He ordered the wolf-headed demonic bat to take Feng Pu away and gave him a healing pill. This human is not bad. The Green Emperor, who had been standing beside Su Yi, said. Su Yi smiled. He didn't know how to deal with Feng Pu. The Feng family didn't seem to be there anymore. The Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor is back. Suddenly, the Green Emperor said and looked outside the main hall. Su Yi looked up and squinted his eyes. He sensed the aura with his sharp soul. The Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor was back. Swoosh, not long after, a figure appeared outside the main hall. It was the Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor. He didn't need to sense the aura in the main hall. He knew where his master was with the demonic spirit contract in his mind. It's all settled. It's easier than expected. Yin-Yang Hell Emperor informed Su Yi of the situation. This time, he had personally come forward to expel all the people of the Feng family. The most important thing was that they could not spoil that place. This time, he had personally come forward, and it was quite successful. Keep a close eye on them. Su Yi ordered. The people of the Feng family might go back. They would be reluctant to leave that place. I'm already watching them. If they go back, kill them. The Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor said. Okay. Su Yi nodded. This was the price that the Feng family had to pay. Anyway, the people of the Feng family weren't good people. The main reason why he asked the Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor not to kill them was because of Feng Qi. He was already merciful enough to the people of the Feng family. However, if the people of the Feng family still want to go back, only a real massacre would be able to scare them. His eldest brother, Merciless West, had gone out. It would take 10 days to half a month. Although the people of the Feng family had been expelled, Su Yi felt that the place was quite hidden. It would be safer if he could go there. However, it was not the right time to go there in a short time. Therefore, for the next few days, Su Yi had been practicing the 13 Gale swords at the back of the mountain. The Xianyang Golden Demon Falcon had been guarding him. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.